Hadi süreceğiz. Жансылайна уже қосылыпты ғой зуммен.
Саламатсыздар ма, әріптестер? Иә, біз осындамыз.
Күн, құрметті әріптестер, халықаралық сарапшылар және қадірлі қонақтар. Өзбекәлі Жәнібеков атындағы Оңтүстік Қазақстан педагогикалық университетінде өтіп жатқан инклюзивтік білім беру үшін жасанды интеллект пайдалану, орталық Азия өңірлік экономикалық ынтымақтастық өңір үшін масштабталатын модель атты халықаралық іс-шараға қош келдіңіздер.
Distinguished colleagues, international experts, and honored guests, welcome to the International Conference, Leveraging Artificial Intelligence for Inclusive Education, a Scalable Model for the Central Asia Regional Economic Cooperation Region, here held at Zhanibekov University.
Бүгінгі басқосу заманауи білім берудің жаңа парадигмасын қалыптастыруға бағытталған маңызды бастама.
Today's gathering marks an important step towards shaping a new paradigm of modern education, one that embraces technology, inclusivity, and collaboration.
Бұл іс-шара мемлекет басшысы Қасым-Жомарт Кемелұлы Тоқаевтың жасанды интеллект дәуіріндегі Қазақстан, өзекті мәселелер және оны түбегейлі цифрлық өзгерістерге арқылы ашу атты Қазақстан халқына жолдауында айқындалған стратегиялық басымдықтардың толық үйлеседі. Президент өз сөзінде еліміздің даму бағытының негізгі міндеттерінің бірі ретінде жасанды интеллектіні тиімді пайдалану, цифрландыру үдерісін жеделдету және білім беру жүйесін жаңа технологиялар негізінде жаңғырту қажеттігін ерекше атап өтті.
This initiative fully aligns with the strategic priorities outlined by the President of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Kasım-Jomart Tokayev, in his address to the nation titled Kazakhstan in the Age of Artificial Intelligence, Key Challenges and Transformative Solutions Through Digital Innovation. In his message, the President emphasized the need to effectively harness artificial intelligence, accelerate digital transformation, and modernize the education system through new technologies, key directions that define our country's future.
Бұл идеялар біздің университеттің даму стратегиясына үндес. Бүгінде оқу орнымыз инклюзивті білім берудің жетілдіру мен жасанды интеллект технологияларын білім беру процесін енгізу бойынша жүйелі жұмыстар атқаруда. Осы бағыттағы бастамалар ел президенттің тапсырмаларын орындауға бағытталғаны нақты әрі нәтижелі қадамдар болып табылады.
These ideas deeply resonate with our university's development strategy. Today, our institution is systematically implementing initiatives to enhance inclusive education and integrate AI technologies into the learning process. These efforts represent concrete and results-oriented steps toward fulfilling the President's vision for a digital empowered nation.
Бұл бастаманың табысты дәлелі университетіміздің Царс институтының халықаралық гранттық байқауының жеңімпазы атануы. Бұл жеңіс біздің ұжымның әлеуетті айқындап қана қоймай, халықаралық серіктестіктің жаңа кезеңіне жол ашты. Сондықтан Царс институтының біздің университеттің базасында осындай ауқымды жобаны жүзеге асыруға мүмкіндік беріп, сенім артқаны үшін шынайы алғысымызды білдіреміз. Бұл серіктестік өңірлік деңгейде инклюзивтік және цифрлық білім берудің дамытуға бағытталған маңызды қадам деп санаймыз.
A successful example of this commitment is our university's victory in the SAREC Institute's international grant competition. This achievement not only demonstrated the strong potential of our academic team, but also opened a new chapter in international partnership and collaboration. We sincerely thank the SAREC Institute for its trust and for providing us the opportunity to implement such a large-scale project on our campus. We view this partnership as a crucial milestone in advancing inclusive and digital education across the region.
Құрметті қонақтар, қазіргі таңда университетте инклюзивтік білім берудің жаңа моделін ескере отырып, жаңартылған білім берудің бағдарламалары әзірленіп, іске асырылуда. Осы бағытта оқытушылардың біліктілік арттыру бойынша жүйелі жұмыстар жүргізілуде. Университетте ерекше білім беру қажеттілігі бар 89 студент білім алып жатыр. Бұл көрсеткіш оқу орнымыздың баршаға тең мүмкіндік беретіні, қолжетімді және жеке тұлғаға бағытталған білім беру кеңістігінің қалыптастыру жолындағы табысты қадамдарының айқындайды.
At present, dear guests, our university is actively developing and implementing updated academic programs that reflect the principles of the new inclusive educational model. We are also carrying out systematic professional development programs for our teaching staff. Currently, 89 students with special educational needs are enrolled at our university, a testament to our institution's commitment to building an accessible, equitable, and learner-centered educational environment for all.
Жасанды интеллект бүгінде тек технология құралы емес, адам мен мүмкіндіктің арасындағы көпірге айналып отыр. Ол ерекше білім беру қажеттіліктері бар студенттерге жаңа мүмкіндік ашып, оқытушылар мен зерттеушілердің кәсіби дамуына серпін береді. Осыған сәйкес, университетіміздің барлық білім беру бағдарламалары 3-ші курс студенттері үшін білім беру процесінде жасанды интеллектті қолдану бойынша пән енгізілді. Бұл пән болашақ педагогтар жасанды интеллект құралдарын кәсіби қызметінде саналы және тиімді пайдалану дағдысын қалыптастыруға бағытталған. Сонымен қатар, оқу орнымызда жасанды интеллект және цифрлық технология бағытында 3 мемлекеттік қаржыландырылатын гранттық ғылыми жобалар жүзеге асырылып жатыр. Олардың барлығы білім берудің цифрлық және инклюзивтік трансформациясын қамтамасыз етуге бағытталған.
Today, artificial intelligence is no longer merely a technological tool. It has become a bridge between people and opportunities. It opens new horizons for students with special needs and empowers teachers and researchers to grow professionally. In this regard, we have introduced a new course titled Application of Artificial Intelligence in the Educational Process for all third-year students across our programs. This course is designed to equip future educators with the skills to curiously and effectively use AI tools in their professional practice. Moreover, our university is currently implementing 3 state-funded research projects focused on artificial intelligence and digital transformation. All these projects aim to ensure the digital and inclusive transformation of education in Kazakhstan.
Құрметті әріптестер, бүгінгі іс-шараға әртүрлі елдерден келген сарапшылар мен мамандардың қатысуы білім беру саласындағы халықаралық ынтымақтастықтың кеңейіп келе жатқанын көрсетеді. ақш, Европа және Орталық Азия елдерінен келген халықаралық сарапшылардың тәжірибесі мен идеяларын инклюзивті білім беруге жасанды интеллект енгізудің аймақтық жол картасын әзірлеуді маңызды роль атқаратынына сенімдіміз.
Dear colleagues, the participation of experts and specialists from various countries in today's event clearly reflects the growing momentum of international collaboration in education. We are confident that the expertise and insights shared by our distinguished guests
Бәріміздің ортақ мақсатымыз жасанды интеллекттің дәуірінде баршаға қолжетімді, тең мүмкіндікке негізделген сапалы білім беру жүйесін қалыптастыру. Осы бағыттағы бірлескен еңбегіміз еліміздің ғана емес, бүкіл орталық Азия өңірінің білім кеңістігін жаңғыртуға жаңа серпін беретініне кәміл сенеміз.
Our shared goal is to build an education system that ensures quality learning opportunities for all, grounded in equality and accessibility in this era of artificial intelligence. I am confident that our joint efforts will give new impetus to the modernization of the education landscape, not only in Kazakhstan, but across the entire central region.
Бүгінгі іс-шараға қатысушылармен сіздерді таныстырып өтсем. Жарасова Гүлжан Сагидоллақызы, Қазақстан Республикасы Ғылым және жоғары білім министрлігі, жоғары және жоғары оқу орнының кейінгі білім комитетінің төрағасы.
Allow me to introduce the distinguished participants of today's conference. Gulzan Sagidullaqızı Jarasova, Acting Chairperson of the Committee for Higher Education and Postgraduate Education, Ministry of Science and Higher Education of the Republic of Kazakhstan.
Жасанды интеллект және инклюзивтік білім беру саласындағы халықаралық және отандық сарапшылар. Стивен Хаулю мырза, әлеуетті арттыру жөніндегі маман, Царекс институты.
International and national experts in artificial intelligence and inclusive education. Mr. Stephen Hao Liu, Capacity Building Specialist, Sares Institute.
Юнес Бенсуда Мури, Стэнфорд университеті, жасанды интеллект саласының профессоры, LifeTech AI компаниясының негізгін қалаушысы.
Professor Yunus Bensuda Muri, Professor of Artificial Intelligence, Stanford University, founder of LifeTech AI.
Диана Мария Андоне, Тимишоара Политехникалық университеті, цифрлық білім беру және қашықтықтан оқыту департаментінің директоры.
Professor Diana Maria Andone, Director, Department of Digital Education and Distance Learning, Polytechnic University of Timisoara.
Анна Скледар Матвеевич, Хорватия, білім берудің дамыту институты, жоғары білім жобаның жетекшісі.
Professor Anna Skledar Matjevich, Project Leader for Higher Education, Institute for the Development of Education.
Хусейн Атақан Варол, Назарбаев университеті, Смарт жүйелер және жасанды интеллект институтының бас директоры.
Professor Hussein Atakan Varol, Director of Institute of Smart Systems and Artificial Intelligence, Nazarbayev University.
Амангелді Нұрзада, Лев Гумилев атындағы Евразия ұлттық университеті, жасанды интеллект технологиясы кафедрасының ғылыми қызметкері. Саймон Томпсон, Англия, Сассек университеті, проректордың халықаралық мәселелері жөніндегі орынбасары. Осы келмеді ме? Петр Шалун, Чехия, Оломуц, Палец университеті, профессор.
Professor Peter Shalun, Palatsk University, Olomouc.
Сондай-ақ іс-шараға онлайн қатысып отырған серіктестеріміз де бар. Панг Вин, Сиан халықаралық зерттеулер университеті, туризм факультетінің жасанды интеллект мектебінің деканы.
Our online participants, Dr. Pang Wen, Dean of School of Artificial Intelligence, Faculty of Tourism, Xi'an International Studies University.
Халмурадова Дильноза Халмурадовна, Низами атындағы Өзбекстан ұлттық педагогикалық университеті, халықаралық ынтымақтастық жөніндегі проректор.
Dr. Dilnoza Khalmuradova, Vice Rector for International Cooperation, Tashkent State Pedagogical University named after Nizami.
Абдулаев Ильхом Кушнудинович, Ориентал университеті, дене шынықтыру кафедрасының доценті.
Professor Ilhom Abdullayev, Oriental University, Department of Physical Education.
Омар Адам Ибрахим, СДУ университеті, ассистент профессор.
Omar Adam Ibrahim, Assistant Professor, Süleyman Demirel University.
EdTech компания өкілдері Татьяна Сарсенова, білім медиа групп, продукт менеджер.
Representatives of EdTech companies. Tatiana Sarsenova, Product Manager, Bilim Media Group.
Инсенбаев Нұрбек Әділбекұлы, Сезуал ғылыми зерттеу институтының негізі қалаушысы, өнер тапқыш, ғалым.
Nurbek Adilbekulu Yesenbayev, founder, Sezual Research Institute, inventor and UN Award laureate.
Шыңғыс Ислам, Сана компаниясының негізін қалаушысы және бас атқарушы директоры.
Mr. Shingles Islam, founder and CEO of Sana Company.
Айгерім Баракова, документолог, аккаунт бойынша атқарушы директор.
Mrs. Aygerim Barakova, Managing Director for Accounting, Documentolog.
Құрметті әріптестер, баршаңызға жемісті жұмыс, жаңа идеялар мен шығармашылық шабыт тілеймін. Жәнібек университетіне қош келдіңіз.
Respected colleagues, I wish all participants fruitful discussions, creative inspiration, and new ideas that will advance inclusive education through innovation and cooperation. Welcome once again to Shymkent. Welcome to Zhanibekov University.
Ендігі сөзді кезегін Қазақстан Республикасы ғылым және жоғары білім министрлігінің жоғары және жоғары оқу орнының кейінгі білім комитетінің төрағасы Гүлжан Сагидуллақызы Жарасоваға беріледі. Гүлжан Сагидуллақызы, сіз біз берсіз бе?
Саламатсыз ба? Рахмет.
Сөз.
Саламатсыздар ма, құрметті әріптестер, құрметті семинарға қатысушылар. Өздеріңіз
жақсы болды да.
естіліп тұр ғой, иә?
Естіліп тұр, жақсы естіліп тұр.
Аха, рахмет. Президентіміз өзінің жолдауында 3 жылда елімізді толыққанды цифрлық мемлекетке айналдыру жөнінде стратегиялық міндет қойды. Бұл ретте Өтемісов университеті, сіз Толқын Мақсатова, сіз тыңдай тұрайық па?
Hayatına Толқынға тоқта дейін.
Өшіре қойсаңыз, аха, жақсы. Рахмет. Осындай үлкен біздің алдымызға мақсат қойды. Біздердің еліміздің толыққанды цифрлық мемлекетке айналуы қажет деп. Бұл жерде ауқымды цифрлық жаңғыртулар кадрларға, адами капиталдарға да жаңа талап қояды. Оны сіздер жақсы білесіздер. Бұл жерде ең алдымен бұл талаптарды орындау үшін бізге жас ұрпақтың білімін жаңа деңгейге көтеру қажет. I'm glad to welcome you to this big international meeting. Many thanks to all participants from the SARS region. Today, inclusion and AI are the main drivers of education development. Біздің елімізде бұл жасанды интеллект және инклюзивті білімді ілгерілету мақсатында біраз жұмыстар жүзеге асырылып жатыр. Оны жаңа осы біздің өткізіп отырған Ө.Жәнібеков оңтүстік Қазақстан педагогикалық университетінің бірінші проректоры де айтып өтті. Бұл жерде мен бір айтып өтетінім жоғарғы оқу орындары, осы жоғарғы оқу орны аралық үлкен жасанды интеллекті қолдану стандартын әзірледі. Бұл стандарттың шеңберінде қазір біздің жоғарғы оқу орындары жұмыстарын жасап жатыр. Бұдан бөлек қазір 95 жоғарғы оқу орны өздерінің білім бағдарламаларының барлығына жасанды интеллекті қолдану бойынша пәндерді енгізіп болды. Осы оқу жылынан бастап оны жүзеге асырып отырмыз. Бұл жерде тек қана жасанды интеллекттің өзін ғана білу емес, бұл әлемдік технологиялық трендтерді де ескеру, этика және AI-ды реттеу, қолдануды, кванттық есептеу, нейроморфтық есептеулер секілді пәндерде пайда болып жатыр. Біздің бұл шеңберде айтқан кезімізде мәселені математикалық дағдылармен қатар студенттердің сыни ойлау алуына басты мән беру керекпіз. Бұл жерде тағы бір үлкен мәселе, бұл профессор оқытушылар құрамының, яғни біздің педагогтардың да біліктілігін арттыру сұрақтары. Қазіргі таңда елімізде үлкен біршама шаралар жүзеге асырып жатыр. Ол біреуі соңғы 3 жылда Курсера мен серіктестікте барлық жоғарғы оқу орындарына тегін студенттер үшін лицензиялар берілді, және осының шеңберінде біздердің профессор оқытушылар құрамына арналған және жоғарғы оқу орындарының менеджерлеріне арналған курстарда өткізілуде. Бұған барлықтарыңыздың қатысып отқандарыңызға біз өте қуаныштымыз. Енді кеше ғана Алматы қаласында үлкен осындай жоғарғы оқу орындарына арналған курстар өтті. Одан бөлек президенттің қолдауымен былтырғы жылдан желтоқсан айында осы бізге тапсырма берілді. Февраль биылғы жылдың ақпан айында қолдау тауып, қазір AI сана программасы жүзеге асырып жатыр. Бұл бағдарламаның шеңберінде біздің барлық студенттер, магистранттар, докторанттарымыз алғашқы кезеңде осы жасанды интеллект бойынша негізгі дағдыларды, негізгі түсініктерді игеріп, одан екінші этапта келесі айда іріктеу басталады. 26 жылдың ақпан айынан осы екінші кезең басталады. Ол жерде біздер 100 000 студентті іріктеп алып, оларға арнайы ары қарай осы жасанды интеллектті кәсіпте қолдану мүмкіндіктерін оқытатын курстарды жүзеге асырамыз. Нәтижесінде 4 этаптан тұратын AI сана бағдарламасы біздердің жыл сайын кемі бір 15 000 студентімізді таза бәсекеге қабілетті AI-ды қолдану құралдарын және сол қандай да бір шешімдерді табуға қолынан келетін мамандарды дайындап шығуға мүмкіндік береді деп отырмыз. Қазірдің өзінде 130-дан аса осындай ИИ агенттер, жасанды интеллект агенттерін біздің студенттеріміз әзірледі. Бұның ішінде айтып кететіні, бұл инклюзивті білімге, жалпы инклюзивтілікті елімізде дамытуға қатысты жасанды интеллект агенттері де бар. Мысалы, Евразия ұлттық университетінің студенттері инклюзивті гид, сурдаудармашы секілді жасанды интеллект құралын әзірледі. Ал мынау КБТУ университеті, Қазақстан Британ техникалық университеті көз AI деген бағдарламасын осы жасанды интеллектпен жасап қолданып жатыр. Мұндай сияқты мысалдарды осы кеше бүгін сіздерде танысып отырған шығарсыздар. Және келесі сұрақ, бұл жерде айта кететін инклюзивті білімге қатысты. Жалпы біздің елімізде былтырғы жылы үлкен жоба аяқталды. Сол жобаның шеңберінде инклюзивті білім берудің моделі әзірленді. Бұл модельді осы жақында ғана өткен конгрессте біздің дүниежүзілік банкпен бірге өткізілген ең бір әлемдегі мықты жобалардың бірі ретінде атап өтті. Қазіргі таңда барлық жоғарғы оқу орындарына мынау балабақшадан бастап докторантурасын бітіргенге дейінгі барлық оқыту кезеңдерінде инклюзивті білім, жалпы кез келген білімге келетін азаматты қалай қолдау қажет екендігіне қатысты сұрақтардың барлығы анықталған, әдістемеліктер әзірленіп, оны қазір жоғарғы оқу орындары өздері қолданып отыр. Одан бөлек қазір 14 жоғарғы оқу орында арнайы кабинеттер, инклюзивті кабинеттер жасақталды. Мұның барлық жұмыстың әр қарайғы ілгерілеуі үшін елімізде үлкен 2 заң қабылдануда. Ол бірінші заң, ол жасанды интеллектке қатысты заң, қазіргі күні Сенатта қарастырылуда. Және сонымен қатар осы инклюзивті білімге қатысты, жастарды білімге келуін қамтуға қатысты заң жобасы қазір әзірленіп, ол тиісті келісімдерді өтуде. бұл заңның шеңберінде жоғарғы оқу орындарының да ары қарайғы осы инклюзивті білім берудегі орны мен міндеттері айқындалуда. Жамбыл Октябрьевич, сізге осындай шараға рахмет айта отырып, бүгін барлықтарыңызға сәттілік тілеймін. Рахмет.
Рахмет, көп рахмет. Гүлжан Сагидоллақызы, сіздің жылы тілектеріңіз біз үшін өте маңызды. Біздің конференцияны бастап құттықтау сөз айтқаныңыз үшін көп рахмет. Ендігі құттықтау сөз Сарыкс институтының өкілі, әлеуетті арттыру жөніндегі сарапшымыз Стивен Хау Лю мырзаға беріледі.
The next speaker is Mr. Stephen Liu.
Okay. Respected Mr. Zambo, Joyobaf, Ms. Grozon, Jurasuba, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished speakers, guests, and colleagues and friends. The management of the Carrick Institute attached the great importance to this seminar, and I'm delighted to be our representative at the Weiger gathering. Well, many of you may be familiar with the Carrick Institute from the past collaboration. So allow me to briefly introduce our organization to those who are new to us. Carrick Institute is an intergovernmental organization established in 2015, and our headquarters is based in Urumqi, China. We are jointly owned and governed by the 11 Carrick member countries, with a core mission to promote economic cooperation in Central Asia through the knowledge generation and sharing. Our key functions include the delivering the high-impact knowledge solutions to support inclusive regional cooperation, facilitating the exchange of the global and regional best practice, strengthening the capacities of government officials in policy analysis and the project implementation, conducting the strategic research to inform policy development, promoting regional alliance and the growth of think tank. You're always welcome to visit our website to see more information. Please scan the QR code over our menu to see more information if you're interested. So this year, we launched a new grant initiative to support institutions across our member countries. We were therefore particularly impressed by the proposal from the Zhanibekov University. It's focused on harnessing AI for inclusive education, a scalable model for the Carrick region. It's both timely and critical. We gather here today to explore the transformative potential of AI in building a more inclusive and equitable education system, especially for learners with special educational needs. We commend the significant progress made by Kazakhstan and the World Carrick region in promoting inclusive education through the legislation and policies. However, we also recognize the challenges that remain, such as lack of adapted learning materials and digital barriers. This seminar is a crucial step toward addressing those challenges. On behalf of Carrick Institute, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to Zhanibekov University for the leadership and for the opportunity to collaborate on this important initiative. I wish you all a productive and engaging full-day seminar. May you find great value in the discussion and the interactions with our distinguished speakers. Wish a very successful seminar conference ahead. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Рахмет, Стивен мырза. Құрметті әріптестер, ендігі кезекті сөз Царекс өңірінің жоғары оқу орындарының өкілдеріне береміз. Бұл біздің аймақтық серіктесіміздің дамып келе жатқан көрсететін тамаша мүмкіндік. Бірінші болып сөз онлайн байланысқа шығып отырған Сиян халықаралық зерттеулі университеті туризм факультетінің деканы Ван Вин мырзаға беріледі сөз.
Dear colleagues, I want to invite online participants as a speakers. Our next speaker is Pan Vin, Mr. Pan Vin. He is the Dean of Xi'an University, International University.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Pan Vin, can you hear us?
Good morning, dear colleagues and friends. I'm Professor Pang Wen, PhD, Dean of School of Artificial Intelligence, XIUSU, China. It's a great honor to introduce the School of Artificial Intelligence, Xi'an International Studies University, to you. Officially established in 2025, we are the first AI school among public foreign language universities in China, rooted in national strategic needs and regional economic development. Leveraging XISU's strengths in foreign languages, we deeply integrate cutting-edge AI technology with multilingual education, building two distinctive pillars, linguistic AI and digital culture and tourism. Through partnerships with leading enterprises like iFlyTech, Huawei, and SDIC Intelligent, we've established industry-academia integration centers where students engage in real projects under dual mentoring, mastering skills in intelligent language analysis, machine translation development, and smart tourism system operation, seamlessly bridging classroom learning with professional practice. Committed to internationalization, we've signed a cooperation memorandum with Assist University to co-develop a master's divided by PhD program in AI and industrial innovation management. This new engineering plus new business initiative sets a model for Sino-Korean higher education cooperation, emphasizing interdisciplinary integration and demand orientation. We warmly welcome global collaborations in talent cultivation, scientific research, and industry innovation. Thank you.
Рахмет, Пан мырза. Сіздің жылы лебізіңіз конференциямыздың халықаралық маңызын айқындай түсті. Біздің серіктесіміз одан да әрі нығая беретін болсын. Ал енді келесі сөз Низами атындағы Өзбекстан ұлттық педагогикалық университетінің халықаралық ынтымақтастық жөніндегі проректор Халмурадова Дильноза Халмурадова ханымға беріледі. Дильноза Халмурадовна.
Let me to extend my warm welcome to the next speaker, Vice Rector for International Cooperation of Nizami University, Uzbekistan, Tashkent, Halmuradova Dilnoza.
Дильноза Халмурадовна.
Здравствуйте. Могу я начинать?
Да, можно начинать.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, colleagues, and dear participants. On the behalf of the organizing committee and the South Kazakhstan Pedagogical University, named after Uzbek Ali Zhanibekov, it's my great pleasure to warmly welcome you to this important international event, devoting to the topic using artificial intelligence for inclusive education. We are truly honored to be hosted here because this conference is considered to be to bring us together here, all the experts, educators, policymakers, and innovators who all share a common vision, harnessing the power of artificial intelligence to ensure that education is inclusive, accessible, and equitable for all of us. In the rapidly changing landscape of education, artificial intelligence offers us both an opportunity and the responsibility. It allows us to break down barriers, reach undeserved communities, and personalize learning like never before. But it also challenges us to think critically, ethically, and inclusively. And I would like to share with some jobs and initiatives which have been done in my country, in Uzbekistan, in recent years. I must say that Uzbekistan has made significant efforts to transform its education system into an inclusive one, ensuring that no child is left without attention. The government of Uzbekistan has defined the development of inclusive education as one of the priorities of its social policy. As a foundation, the concept for the development of inclusive education in the public education system for 2020 and 2025 was adopted, approved by the Presidential Decree number 4860 of the Republic of Uzbekistan. And a roadmap for 2020 and 2021 was attached to the concept, along with target indicators set up for 2025. These documents established a systemic approach to implementing inclusive practices, from the modernization of school infrastructure to the training of the personnel and development of methodological materials. The goals and initiatives which have been done here, the government has set an ambitious goal to ensure that by 2025, inclusive education system is implemented in 51,000 of the country's schools. In these schools, 1,125 children with special educational needs are studying together with their healthy peers, approximately 38% of whom are girls. These achievements are very big for our country. And there has already been significant progress. According to official data, in just the first half of the 2023 and 2024 academic year, inclusive education was implemented in 530 general education institutions across Uzbekistan. And this is an important indicator showing that hundreds of schools have begun transitioning to an inclusive model, covering more than 1,000 children who may previously have been studying at home or in specialized institutions. Regarding the training of pedagogical personnel, the success of inclusive education is largely determined by the readiness and competence of teachers. Traditionally, educators have not been widely trained to work with children with various developmental needs within a regular classroom. Therefore, professional development and retraining of personnel are key tasks in the path towards an inclusive schools. Since 2021, the Ministry of Public Education has launched targeted training courses for staff of school implementing inclusion. Every August, 72-hour professional development courses are conducted for school principals, school psychologists, and also for school teachers. Notably, these courses involve not only domestic trainers, but also international experts from Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Japan, and other countries. Such knowledge exchange enables the adoption of best practices and global expertise in the field of inclusive pedagogy. Teachers study methods of working with children with various impairments such as visual, hearing, musculoskeletal disabilities, autism, spectrum disorders, and also others, and master the principles of differentiated instruction and psychological support within the classroom. And there are some new structures and projects which have been developed in our country as a part of the reforms. An inclusive education laboratories was established under the public centers. These labs has become a platform for developing innovative methodologies in piloting new teaching practice in an inclusive environment. Here, theory meets practice. Scholars, methodologists, and practicing teachers work together to find optimal approaches to educating children with special needs in regular classrooms. At present, schools that have introduced inclusive education already employ specialist teachers, around 115 nationwide. These include special needs educators, intellectual disability specialists, teachers of the deaf, and other highly specialized professionals who support general education, teachers in inclusive classroom. However, this is clearly insufficient for the planned expansion of inclusion. There is a shortage of teacher, assistants, tutors who provide one-on-one support to students with special educational needs during lessons. Overall, Uzbekistan is building its system for training pedagogical personnel for inclusive schools almost from scratch. The first serious step has been taken. A solid regulatory framework has been developed, and training programs and methodological support have been established, and cooperation with international experts has been launched. Teachers are gradually chancing their mindset and improving new skills, from the ability to adapt curricula to fostering tolerance among the entire class. Certainly, much more work lies ahead to ensure that all schools and all educators receive such training. But the trend is clear. The professional community is being transformed to meet the demands of inclusivity. Regarding the integration of artificial intelligence in inclusive education, the government of Uzbekistan is actively investing in the digitalization of education. Large-scale initiatives are being undertaken, such as ICT Week and innovation forums, where achievements in educational technologies are showcased. A foundation for artificial intelligence development has been established. High-speed internet is available in most schools. National e-learning platforms are in place, and there is growing interest from the private sector in educational technological projects. In this context, AI can become a tool that complements teachers' efforts and makes learning more personalized. It's important to emphasize technology is not meant to replace the teacher. It enhances their capabilities. As the head of the UNICEF officer in Uzbekistan noted, the teacher is the heart of education and the driver of change, while modern technologies and AI should serve as tools in their hands, enabling personalized learning and helping unlock the potential of every child. And another example in the development of AI-based digital education resource for the professional development of teachers is the Jalinga courses. In collaboration with the Islamic Development Bank and the Jalinga studio has been equipped in Uzbekistan, and where multimedia lessons and materials for blended teacher training are being developed. Through artificial intelligence technologies, their resources can automatically adapt to the educator's needs. For instance, offering more advanced content to those who have already progressed or provided additional explanation to those who need reinforcement. This helps prepare teachers for all possible classroom scenarios and including working with students of diverse abilities. And it is important to note that the integration of AI requires digital literacy and readiness on the part of the teachers themselves. For technology to truly benefit children, educators must be able to use it effectively. Uzbekistan's advancement in AI for education may be valuable for neighboring countries. Central Asian states share similar demographic and social conditions, and many face shortages of specialized educators, speech therapists, and sign language interpreters. Technological solutions piloted in Tashkent or other regions of Uzbekistan can be transferred to schools in Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan, with appropriate linguistic adaptation, of course. Cooperation is key here. Exchanging best practice through regional seminars, conducting joint pilots, projects, and potentially creating shared open access platforms for teachers across the region.
Dilnoza Hanım, reglement, Dilnoza Hanım.
Yes, I have just finished my speech and the information with my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Көп рахмет, Dilnoza Hanım. Өзбекстаннан жолдаған тілегіңіз баршамызға шабыт береді деп сенеміз. Біздің серіктесіміз әрі қарай жалғасып жұмыс істейді. Құрметті әріптестер, енді біз негізгі баяндамалық бөліміне көшеміз. Бірінші кезекті Румыния елінен келген халықаралық сарапшы Тимошора политехникалық университеттің цифрлық білім беру жүйесін қашықтықтан оқыту департаментінің директоры Диана Мария Андона ханымға сөз кезегі ұсынамыз. Diana Maria Andona.
Join me to warmly welcome our next speaker, Diana Maria Andon from Timisoara Polytechnic University.
Hello, everybody. I really hope you will be able to understand what I'm going to speak. Unfortunately, I'm not speaking neither Kazakh, neither Russian, so I'm really sorry for this. If translation is needed, that's fine. Can I have the slides, please? I'll try to speak as slowly as possible so you can understand me. And I will try to be as much as possible also in the time. So basically something, first of all, about myself. I'm a director of digital education for more than 15 years, but my interest with ICT and how technology can help humans has been more or less since I was a child. So I'm quite old now. Probably I don't look, but I am, believe me. And back in the 90s, when I was a student, I started doing projects with what we call then robots and artificial intelligence. Believe it or not, in the 90s, I have a degree in artificial intelligence. So basically, even if everybody thinks that artificial intelligence is something which is coming up just now in the last 3 years, it's not. It's been here for a longer time than this. So basically, this is what it is. And okay, this is where I am, quite far away a bit from here. I'm in a very baroque city in Romania, in Timisoara. very close to the border of Hungary and Serbia. My university is as old as it is Romania, in fact, so it's been established since the country was established. It's part of Transylvania, which I'm pretty sure you have heard about it, because it's quite famous for a certain vampire. And let me see. Is it? Okay, my university is doing education at all levels, also at bachelor, master, doctorate in different languages since 1920, so more than 105 years now. And we have quite a lot of international collaborations. We have, in fact, a collaboration with the university, with the main university from Astana, so also with the Kazakh people, but I've never been in Kazakhstan. When I was living in United Kingdom, I had a master student from Kazakhstan, which has done his degree with me. So I have a very close connection with your country. My department is the Digital Education Department, which was established 27 years ago. So we are doing quite a lot of things. And in Europe, we are part of what we call European University Alliances. So alliances of different universities. In our case, there are 9 universities which work together to create what we call a multi-university campus. So to become stronger together and to share knowledge and information, teaching and research together. For many years, I'm one of the EU experts in digital education. And in the last 3 years, 2 years and a half, more or less, I've been doing trainings in different countries, in more than 11 countries at this moment, in fact. And I train more than 1,500 experts. And in fact, this is how the international Erasmus office from Kazakhstan has approached me to come to this conference. I'm curious to see how many of you have been to one of my trainings. I delivered an online training for Kazakhstan. Oh, one, good, at least one. I'm glad. So basically, please have a look online. You will be able to have a huge repository of information if you are interested on digital education or on artificial intelligence. And it's all with Creative Commons license, so open license, so you can really reshare it and use it as you wish. I'm not very sure how much of you, because I'm a computer scientist, I'm an engineer. So coming to a pedagogical university, I was thinking of how to approach from a philosophical method, artificial intelligence. I don't know if you've been aware about Neil Postman, 5 things we need to know about technological change. Is that we always pay a price to the technology. When it comes, there are always winners and losers. And this is, with artificial intelligence, is becoming even more evident than before. And then technologies are fictions. We dream about them, we wish them, and then they're coming, you know, it's one of the major things. But what I think it's the most important one is that technological change is not additive. It's ecological. So it's not just replacing something, it's incorporating all of the other technologies at once. So any new technology which has come in the last more or less 500 years have not replaced fully the other. We still have books, we still have paintings, we will still learn from them, but with AI, all of them will be incorporated in a new technology with a new way. So my entire philosophical thing is that, okay, this is not working now. Okay, now it's working. I have a question. As I said, I'm an engineer, okay? So this is a big engineering process which has shaped our society quite a lot. And in fact, this will be also coming to the end to my presentation. Do you know what it is? All of these images are either images made by me or from one of my colleagues. Akbota, you need to know, you've been in my training. Okay, it's welding. So it's a process which started in the 17th, 18th century, which has completely changed our society. It's still dangerous, it still requires training, and it's heavily regulated in all the countries. The most important thing is that we have plumbing, we have canalization in our cities. We are able to build up cities because of welding. We are able to build beautiful buildings and art things because of welding. And it's always done in cooperation. It's always done by a team effort, which is using technology for the human good. So my main take all the time in all my presentation is that try to cooperate and co-create together engineers, computer scientists, pedagogists, socialists, philosophers, regulators, government agencies, financial companies, anybody can work together to build up a more inclusive generative AI, especially for education and research. And for that, you will need to go through all the steps possible for approaching it. I strongly believe that AI will shape every industry, but it will completely transform the structure of higher education. And we have been able to see this quite a lot. We have changed the assessments, so how we evaluate our students because of artificial intelligence, and we are slowly changing all of the other aspects in higher education. And this is possible only because we have started asking quite a lot of questions. Because from 39% who have been saying about some years ago that they've been using or not using it, more than half of the people, and a recent study says 80% of students use any form of AI in their studies. This means that we need to change from dilemmas where we are asking ourselves, okay, what we can do, why this is coming to us, to solutions where we are not asking if, but how we are trying to incorporate generative AI into our education. And there are different types of AI. I'm pretty sure you have done training on that, or if not, it's available in a lot of places, but you will be able to see that the importance of using generative AI, and it's more specifically in this case, ChatGPT, in higher education or in education system has increased tremendously. This is a report released in September 2025, which has analyzed, done by OpenAI, which has analyzed extensively the use of prompts across the globe, and not only in English language. And it's quite clear that if you will be able to see from that one, we're saying also how to advise and health and creative solution and tutoring and teaching, the vast majority of the questions are for advice and tutoring and teaching. So it's quite clear that it's a strong need for this. UNESCO has released in September 2025 a report for digital learning and AI in future of education. It's a 160 pages report, which has a lot of information and study cases about AI in education. Please have a look at it, and I will not stay too much on it. My main talk is usually today, in this morning, and in the afternoon and tomorrow is going to be more precise about strategic adoption of AI in higher education and also in engineering education. So you need to go through a lot of steps. You cannot go only to do, okay, I'll let my students use it, or my students will use it and we don't know that they're using it. So for that, you need to have quite a strong strategic vision, which is aligned with what you want for your university, for yourself sometimes, for your region, or sometimes even for your country. And then you need to develop regulations, guidelines, and then you need to build up competencies. And these competencies is not something which you do once. This is a hugely rapid-paced development technology, which requires constant update on competencies and on skills. And that means that you constantly need to learn about AI, and then you will be able to teach with AI or about AI. And obviously, in all of this, you will need to do a lot of maintaining the academic integrity. One of the major things which we are always promoting is that you cannot do any technology in education without being sure that the academic integrity is there. And that means that you have a safe and responsible use of it, and that will, at the end, lead to more responsible research. I will not go into the research topics, but if you are interested, I'm an editor of several journals, and I can speak what's the impression from the other side of the bench on how research is being affected by the use of AI. I will speak a tiny bit about the strategic adoption. Back almost 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, in 2024, in April, World Economic Forum has released a report about the future of learning and the role of AI in education. Just yesterday, they have released the new jobs for 2026 and 2027. So it's quite a rapid pace of development on how they are changing things. What I would like to say, especially in the context of this conference about social inclusion, is that we need to really support the AI and digital literacy, building up competencies to be able to have a more personalized learning experience where everybody has their place and where everybody can learn. I'm also coming from a very large global association, IEEE. Usually when I go in technical universities, everybody knows about IEEE. I'm not very sure if people know here. I'm actually at this moment the vice president for conferences for IEEE, and we do a lot of things with AI, especially from the engineering development. But the United Kingdom, the international office, which is looking at digital competencies and digital technologies for many years, JISC, has released an AI maturity model for education, which I consider very valuable when you want to take steps on integrating AI into education. An important bit of when you need to do it is you need to build up AI regulations for higher education. In Europe, we have quite strong regulations at this moment. We have the Data Protection Act. We are not allowed to share data. We are not allowed to collect data from our students, learners, professors, or stakeholders if we are not transparent about what we are doing with it and how we are collecting. The EU AI Act, which is coming into huge force in European Union, is doing exactly the same thing, is looking at how AI is using data and what are we doing with that data. And obviously this will lead to regulations in higher education. There are universities which hasn't done too much. In my study last year, through all the experts which I trained, the vast majority of them said they don't have any AI regulations or digital technologies regulations in their university. So imagine you have a student which submit a bachelor thesis, which is 80% done with AI. And especially in topics which are not science related, it's very easy to be done because you are speaking about words and composure of words. What can you do? If you don't have any type of regulation, you cannot do nothing. You just accept it because you have no way of knowing if it is a plagiarism or not. Any AI regulation in higher education will need to look at how you protect the data of your users, of your staff, or your learners, how the ethical background is building up, and how you build up transparency from all perspectives, also in terms of what technology is used and how safe that technology it is for your staff and students, And only like that, you will be able to have a fully view on how to build up this sort of regulations and so on. So basically, you cannot build up academic honesty and you cannot build up the humans which will know how to use properly and correctly AI if you don't regulate it first, guidelines, and then do the competencies for that. I have examples here on how you can do it and how important it is, but my main take is that you need to allow the use of AI in your education systems, but you need to do this by clearly collaborating and creating a consistency on this AI regulation. You cannot do it alone. You need to do it at a larger scale. And for this, you need to be very transparent and you need to prioritize this responsibility and transparency. But you need to build up the competencies for this. You cannot leave the staff and students without competencies. And we have built up quite good systems in European Union about how to build up the digital competencies and the digital literacy. And all of these areas, like these ones which are coming from Stella Lee, which is another speaker which is always speaking about the building up of the competencies for AI, is putting critical thinking and fact-checking as a strong competency on AI, because you need to build up that trust on how the results from AI technology or AI, systems will come up to you. UNESCO has a lot of training for this in all the languages, including languages which you can speak. So please have a look at them and download them and use them with your staff, especially because you are educators or trying to educate the others to become educators. And I will just try to close because I've seen the points from the others that I'm late. That try to imagine that probably the students which we have now in our universities, they have grown up with mobile phones and web all the time. They don't know any other world. But those which are just now joining the schools, so which are probably 5, 7, 8, 9 years old, the only world which they will know will be a world where artificial intelligence exists. They will have a different mental model than us. They will probably replace that Neil Postman thing that is additive. They will take a question, not to a search engine, not to a book, and not to a human. They will ask in natural language, and they will speak with a computer and with data. And they will believe those answers. And for that, we need to build up a society, build up educators which are able to teach those children, which don't know any other way of finding information than asking in natural language a machine. So for that, I will close here and I will invite you to come to my city. I've told you I'm a vice president on conferences. If you are interested in digital education, the largest digital education conference in IEEE is happening next year in my city. Please join with papers and research and hear about us. Thank you very much. Do you take questions?
Рахмет, Диана ханым.
I don't know if you have questions or not. Do I take questions now or not?
Не дейді?
Сұрақтарыңыз болса егер дейді. Questions, any questions?
I hope you understood me. That's my only worry. Thank you very much. I'll be around the next 3 days. So if you have any questions or you want to discuss something, just approach me.
Professor Diana, we will have discussion for tomorrow's seminar.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Рахмет, Диана ханым. Келесі сөз отандық сарапшы, Лев Гумилев атындағы Еуразия ұлттық университеті жасанды интеллект технология кафедрасының зерттеушісі Амангелді Нұрзада ханымға беріледі.
We extend our warm welcome to our next speaker, Amangelde Nurzada, the researcher at Gumilev National University.
Саламатсыздар ма, отандастар, халықаралық эксперттер, елімізге қош келдіңіздер. Осы жасалып жатқан шара берекелі сәтті өтсін. Енді мен баяндамамды екі тілде жасайын деп шештім, өйткені өзіміздің отандастар бар және шетелдік эксперттер бар, сондықтан екі тілде сөйлеуге тырысамын. Менің есімім Нұрзада Амангелді, мен Еуразия ұлттық университетінің зерттеушісімін және Сайнбридж деп аталатын әлеуметтік есту мен сөйлеуінде шектеуі бар адамдарға арналған жобаның негізін қалаушымын. Hello everyone, I decided to use two languages because I am fanat Kazakh languages. I think it will be understandable after my report. I try use two languages. My name is Nurzada Amangelde. I'm a researcher of Eurasian National University, and I'm founder startup of Сайнбридж for people with hearing impairments. No, дұрыс. Бәрі симай қалып деген айта, болды, осы айтыра берсін. Енді мен бұл жерде бұл жобаның жалпы қалай басталғанын айтып кетейін деп отырмын. Бұл жолда біз ғылымнан шынайы өнімге қалай өттік және сол өнім арқылы қазір қалай ақша тауып жатқанымызды сіздерге айтып өтейін дедім. Енді біз бәріміз білеміз, алдыңғы аптада Алматыда жаңағы халықаралық инклюзия бойынша конгресс болды. Сол конгрессте әлемдік гиганттар кеп баяндама жасады. Оның ішінде Google, Nvidia тағы да басқа ұйымдар болды. Біз сол конгрессқа негізі сол зерттеуші ретінде, тыңдаушы ретінде бардық. Қандай шешімдер бар екен, қандай мүмкіндіктер бар екен деп. Барлық, өкінішке орай, барлық шешімдер жаңағы көзі көрмейтін адамдарға арналған, аутизмге шалдыққан адамдарға арналған, жаңа арбамен жүретін адамдарға арналған деген сияқты шешімдер өте көп болды. Біз бірде бір шешім көрген жоқпыз. Есту мен сөйлеуінде шектеу бар адамдарға арналған шешім деген бірде бір шешім көрмедік. Конгресстен кейін жаңа әріптестерімізбен жиналып, ойланып, неге бұлай болды екен дедік та, мынандай шешімге келдік. Яғни ол адамдардың дауысы естілмейді, олар сөйлей алмайды. Сондықтан ол адамдардың дауысы естілмейді. Яғни әлем бойынша есту мен сөйлеуінде шектеу бар адамдарға арналған шешімдер өте аз. I have decided to tell our story how we moved from science to real project and now to real commercialization. Last week there was the World Congress about inclusive solutions where technology giants such as Google and etc. gave their presentation. Unfortunately, we did not see one solutions for people with hearing impairments. My colleagues and I discussed why this happens, and we came to conclusion that it is because their voices are not heard, simply because they cannot speak. Мен слайдыма не болған? Мен өзім ноутбугымнан қосылсам бола ма? Енді қалай басталған туралы айтайын. Бұл менің докторлық диссертациям болды. Тілін тану деген тақырыпта. Ең бірінші жаңағы ғылыми мақаламды жазамда халықаралық журналға жіберем. Халықаралық журнал маған мақаламды кері қайтарады. Себебі қазақ тілі жоқ, сіздің зерттеуіңіздің ешқандай әлемдік деңгейде пайдасы жоқ деп. Бұл жерде сұрақ туындайды, қалай қазақ бар, мысалы халық бар, жер бар, мен бармын, ал тіл қалай жоқ болады деген осы жерде сұрақ туындайды. Бұл жерде мен аламда қазақ, орыс, ағылшын, түрік тілдеріне салыстырмалы талдау жасап, мынау істемейді ғой деймін да. Салыстырмалы талдау жасап, қазақтың тілі бар екенін дәлелдеймін да, жаңағы мақаламды жіберем, оның артынан келесі мақалаларымды жіберем да, диссертациясыз автоматически жаңағы PhD деңгейін аламын. Everything started with my PhD research. I submitted my first article to an international journal, but it was rejected. The reason: your research is not relevant. Kazakh Sign Language doesn't exist. How can that be? There are people, society, country, and still no language. Even many scholars from Kazakhstan told me, say just Kazakh-Russian Sign Language. But I didn't give up. I did comparative analysis of Kazakh, Russian, English, and Turkish languages, and proved that Kazakh Sign Language is unique. The article was published, then other two, and eventually I received my PhD without dissertation. Осылай мен ғылыми мәселеден шынайы мәселеге келдім. Қазақтың тілінің статусы жоқ екен. Статус жоқ болса, яғни кез келген ақпаратқа қолжетімділік жоқ деген сөз. Қазақстанда 200 мыңнан астам есту мен сөйлеуінде шектеу бар адам тұратын болса, сол адамдарда қазіргі күнде не оқуға, не электрондық ақпаратқа, не жаңағы білім кеңістігіне қолжетімділік жоқ деген үлкен мәселеге келдім. Сонымен қатар тілінің статусы болмағандықтан үйрететін орталықтар өте көп екен. Әр орталық әртүрлі үйрете береді. Жаңағы сурдопереводчиктардың саны жетіспейді. Және стандарт болмағандықтан сол стандартқа негізделген оқулықтар мен жаңағы білім беру ресурстары жоқ болып шықты. This helped me to realize that the problem is not just academic. The real issue is that Kazakh Sign Language has not official status, and that means no translation of videos, text, or audio, no enough interpreters, no standard textbooks or learning materials. As a result, over 200,000 people with hearing impairments in Kazakhstan are cut off from education and information. Осындай шынайы мәселеге келген, екі тілде сөйлегеннің қайсысы ба, негізі? Сөйлей берейін ба? Осындай шынайы мәселеге келгеннен кейін, ғылымнан шынайы мәселеге жеттік. Яғни осы жерде мен қазақ тілінің сөздік қорын жинауға шешім қабылдадым. Өзім түрлі курстарға жазылдым. 2000-ға жуық тіліндегі сөздер базасын жинадық. Әрбір сөзді біз алдындағы слайдты қойсаңыздар, оның алдында. Әрбір сөзді біз әртүрлі жастағы адамдарды пайдаланып 125 рет жаздық, жалпы 250 мың видео жинадық. Then we started building of sign language database. We collected 2,000 signs, and for each sign we recorded 125 video. In total, we collected 2,500 video files. Және осы жиналған деректер негізінде, неге жасанды интеллект деп айтамыз ғой, жасанды интеллекттің ең маңызды, ең қажетті нәрсесі ол деректер базасы, деректер датасет деп аталады. Сол датасет қаншалықты датасет жинауда біз өзіміз қаншалықты тер төксек, біздің нәтижеміз соншалықты жемісті болады. Осы жолда біз жаңағы 250 мың видеоның негізінде тілін танитын жүйе жасадық. Ол жерде шынайы уақытта адамның қолының қозғалысы мен ерінің қозғалысын оқиды, терең оқыту модельдері. Енді ғылымға қатты кетпей қойын. Сол арқылы ол жаңағы қаншалықты тілін адам дұрыс көрсетіп тұр, қаншалықты теріс көрсетіп тұр, соны анықтап бере алады. From this data, we built a recognition system. It uses the camera to analyze hand and lip movements, gives feedback, and helps people learn more accurately. This is especially useful for online learning, where each center teaches differently. Келесі слайд қойсаңыздар. Мынау жаңағы recognizer, енді мен слайдымда негіз видеомен болу керек еді. Ну, ладно, PDF болғасын. Келесі. Біз 3 аватар жасадық. Яғни біз тану есебін шешу барысында біз оны қайттан тілінде көрсету есебін қатарластырып шештік. Яғни бір база арқылы біз тану есебінде және қайттан тілінде көрсету есебін шештік. Осындай 3-4 аватар жасадық. We also developed an AI system with 3D avatar that shows signs and the facial experience. We use one data for sign language recognition and the sign language generation. Қазіргі таңда біздің жүйе шынайы уақытта, егер сіз мәтінді енгізсеңіз, оны ым тілінің глостарына түрлендіреді. Глосс дегеніміз ым тілінің жаңағы сөздік базасындағы қолданатын. Ол ым тілінің өзіндік синтаксисі бар. Сол глосстардан автоматты түрде аватарға жіберіледі. Мына жерде видео болса, негізі видеода барлығы көрініп тұратын еді. Егер сіздерге қызық болса, кейін мен көрсетіп бере аламын. Бұл жерде бұл не үшін керек? Қараңыздар, қазақ тілінде соңғы Оксфорд сөздігі бойынша 200 мыңға жоқ сөздік қор бар. 200 мыңға жоқ. Ал ым тілінде сөйлейтін адамдар жалпы 2000 сөз ғана қолданады. Яғни адамның тілде тіл буынсыз дейді. Біз тілмен сөйлей береміз, бірақ біз қолмен сондай жаңағы шексіз көп түрлі сөздер айта алмаймыз. Сондықтан бұл жерде умный адаптация дейді ғой, ақылды бейімдеу керек. Яғни бір уақытта 200 мың сөзді 2000 сөз негізінде түсіндіріп беру, ол тек қана терең оқыту модельдерінің қолынан келеді. Бұл жерде бұл жерде жаңағы LLM-дер жұмыс істей алмайды. Өйткені біз жаңағы тексті саламыз, одан глостарды аламыз, глостарды аватарға жібереміз. Аватарға жіберген кезде импровизацияға жол жоқ. Яғни аватар нақты сөздерді алу керек. Сондықтан бұл жерде LLM-дер жұмыс істемейді. Бұл жерде біз морфоанализ, жаңағы rule-based және глубокое обучение үшеуін біріктіріп гибридті модель жасадық. Now we are translating regular text into Kazakh Sign Language glosses, simplified structure used in sign language. We work with around 2,000 gloss units, but in spoken language there are around 2,100 words. So we need smart adaptation algorithms for translation text to glosses. Так, келесі. Қазір біз MVP болдық, уже шынайы өнім болдық. Күнделікті біз Жібек жолы телеканалында Фиксик деген мультфильмі келесі слайд ашсаңыздар. Фиксик деген мультфильмді біздің аватарымыз күнделікті 2 сағат бойы көрсетіліп тұр. Сағат күнде таңертең 10-нан 12-ге дейін осы біздің аватар Фиксик мультфильмін аударып тұр. Осы Алматыда конгресске келген кезде мен арнайы интернатқа бардым. 0-ші класстан бастап 11-ші классқа дейін балалардың арасында жүріп шықтым. Сіздер көріп жатсыздар ма? Мына мультфильмді көресіздер ма? Сіздерге қызық па деп. Сол кезде ол балалар әрине бізге қызық, әрине бізге түсінікті деген кезде мен жайдан жай өмір сүріп жатпағанын түсіндім. Өйткені бұл жерде біз айтамыз ғой, инклюзивті білім беру, жаңағы барьерді алу. Бұл мультфильмді мысалы нормотипичный балалар дейді ғой, қалыпты нормалық балалармен жаңағы естумен сөйлеуінде шектеу бар балалар бірге көре алады. Бұл жаңағы барьерді алудың қарапайым мысалы. Our MVP was tested on TV. We translated the cartoon Fixiki. Every day we translated thousands of educational videos. We supported special boarding schools for free. Көбінесе интернаттар мен мектептерді мен тегін қызмет көрсетем. Ал жаңағы қосымша білім беру, осындай телеканал сияқты ұйымдармен жаңағы коммерциализация негізінде жұмыс істейміз. Келесі слайд. Сонымен қатар біз бірнеше пилоттық жобалар бастап жатырмыз. Жаңағы төтенше жағдайлар министрлігінде срочно дейді ғой, тез жеткізу қажет жаңалықтар бар. Мысалы, жол жабылады, әйнектен бала құлап кетпесін деген сол сияқты ақпараттарды шынайы уақытта жіберу үшін біз жаңағы төтенше жағдайлар министрлігімен тест жасадық. Бұл мини API болады, өйткені ол шынайы уақытта жұмыс істеу керек. Яғни олар хабарламасын жіберу керек, біз сол уақытта аударуымыз керек. Біздің негізгі болашақ мақсатымыз осындай үлкен API жасау. We also tested our system with Ministry of Emergency Situation and the contract with the final steps. Тағы сонымен қатар біз Жібек жолы каналында жаңағы жаңалықтарды аудару бойынша жұмыстар жүргізіп жатырмыз. Келесі слайд қойсаңыздар. Next we plan to develop on API for wider integration. Яғни біз болашақта API-шка жасағымыз келеді. Кез келген тілде, кез келген жаңағы сайттар, кез келген электрондық ақпарат біздің API-ді қосып, ары қарай жұмыс істей беретін қып. Келесі. Қазіргі таңда қарасаңыздар, бұл оқиға немен аяқталды? Мысалы, басында мен 7 жыл болып айналысып кетірмін, басында мен бірінші жіберген мақаламда сіздің қазақым тіліңіз жоқ, сау болыңыз деген. Қазір әлемдік ұйымдар біз туралы жазады. Қазір, яғни бір кезде жоқ болған қазақым тілі, қазір технологиялардың адамның өмірін қалай өзгертуге көмектесетінінің бірде-бір мысалы болады. Now, global media write about us. Before they said Kazakh sign language didn't exist. Today, it's becoming an example of how technologies can truly change lives people with hearing impairments. Назарларыңызға рахмет. Сұрақтарыңыз болса, жауап беруге дайынмын.
Сұрақтар кейін болар деп ойлаймын, или бар ма қазір аудиторияда қойылым?
Я негізінен дайындап келгенмін. Аха.
Пайда келтіретін осындай керемет ғылыми ғылыми зерттеу жасап, оны жаңағы көруі мен естуі нашар адамдарға сондай мүмкіндік бергеніңізге мен үлкен алғыс айтқым келеді. Керемет, өте керемет жасалған ғылыми жоба.
Рахмет. Осы алдыңғы аптада тамыр платформасының акселерациясы болды. Біз Өзбекстан, Тәжікстан, жаңа Қырғызстаннан келген әріптестермен бірге жұмыс істедік. Яғни бұны енді басқа тілдерге де бейімдеп, ол жаққа да әсіресе біз Өзбекстанға енгізу бойынша қазір келісімшарттар бастап кеттік. Сондықтан алған беттеріңізден қайтпаңыздар, өз жолдарыңызбен жүріңіздер. Сіздерге айтады, анау жоқ, мынау дұрыс емес, қазақ тілі жоқ деп айтады, бірақ қазақ тілі бар, өйткені мен бармын. Сондықтан назарларыңызға рахмет.
Рахмет, Нұрзада ханым. Сөз тізгінін ақш елінің келіп отырған қадірлі қонағымыз Стэнфорд университеті жасанды интеллект пәнінің профессоры Юнес Бенсуда Мури мырзаға қуана ұсынамыз.
We extend our warm welcome to our next speaker, Yunus Bensouda Mourri, Professor of AI at Stanford University.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very grateful and thank you for having me here today. I'll be talking in English, so hopefully you can understand most of what I'm saying. So again, thank you again for having me here today. I'll talk a little bit about myself and my journey just to give you a very quick introduction, and then I'll go ahead and talk about what we'll be discussing today. So I started my journey teaching AI at Stanford University, where we started by doing multiple courses in machine learning, in deep learning, in natural language processing. And then we scaled to online courses, massive open online courses. And we ended up having over 1 million learners. So maybe 1.5 to 2 million learners in deep learning and natural language processing. And we quickly realized that it's very difficult to give these learners feedback. And that's how we ended up using AI to teach these learners and help them with their personalized learning and adaptive learning journeys. So today's talk is really about how could we improve AI in education or implement it in Central Asia's region. And what I'm about to share with you came through 10 years of experience operating in AI in education, and mainly at the government levels, at ministries of education, higher ed, and K-12. So really large-scale deployments with millions of learners. So the slide is a little bit off, but I'll give you a quick oversight of the biggest problems we see in ministries today. The first step is there is a lack of visibility, a lack of data collection. So whenever you go to an institution, they usually do not have high quality data that you could use. And that's usually the base infrastructure that would allow you to implement these AI technologies. Second of all, equity is a very big problem because these AI technologies are very expensive to implement. Imagine you need GPUs for all of these learners. How are you going to cater to them? The third step is personalization. How do you actually personalize? Because there are so many applications that show you how to do adaptive learning or personalization, but at the end of the day, most of these, AI in education components, or in general AI applications, fail. There are reports that say that more than 95% of AI tools fail when you implement them. There's less than 5% that are actually useful and working. And finally, there is a big technology gap that allow you to have a full stack implementation. So just to recap what I just said, there are three main reasons why AI in education fails when you implement it at large scales, right? The first one is it is not personalized to the curriculum or to the language. For example, Kazakh language is a low resource language. So how do you personalize it to that specific curriculum and language? The second one is there is usually a lack of AI analytics. You could not just give a personalized recommendation if you do not have an overview of the system and what's being implemented. And then the third one is costs. So these are the three main components. Let's look at an example for Kazakhstan, and it's could generalize to all of Central Asian countries. Here's a quick question is, where are dropout rates highest? Which regions are improving fastest? Which schools are falling behind this week? Which students missed 3 days or more in school X? These are all very relevant questions that are very important for the decision makers, because if you do not have a map to understand where you are, to see where you're going, it is very difficult for you to make informed decisions, right? So these ministries, these governments, schools, universities, they need to be able to make informed decisions, and they need to have the ability to do A/B testing very quickly, right? So let's look at the reality today of what happens when you ask a question of who missed school 3 days this week, right? Or university did not attend a specific class or so. So usually, like, the minister or the admin would make a request. It would be routed to the data unit. The team checks if school X or university X actually has that's attendance or that's grade. They'll do a verification. If no data exists, then they would report it back, and then they would compile the results, and then the ministry or the university president or the school principal would receive that data, or the parent. It could be any stakeholder. So you could see here we have 8 steps to get a very simple answer. So the thing over here is you should be able to just ask the chatbot a question. So think of it as a ChatGPT, but it's integrated with your database. And then you can just ask it a question, and it'll pull out the full list of tables, right? The difficult part over here, it's very difficult for you to keep an eye out on all of the students. So for example, imagine I'm a university president and I want to know who are all of the students that are at risk, right? It's very difficult for me to know all of the students who are at risk without doing a deep dive into the data sets, do an analysis, and then get that answer. It usually requires a team of machine learning engineers or data scientists to be able to give you these insights. So ironically, one of the first things that AI engineers did is they replaced themselves by building such systems. The other thing is it's very difficult for you to keep asking a lot of questions all the time, like, okay, who is at risk? Which policy should I be implementing? It's very hard for you to know the right questions to ask. So over here, you shouldn't normally be asking these questions. You should automatically be notified. So the AI agent should be able to tell you exactly what is going wrong and tell you what to do. So this is something that I've been thinking more about, is how do you build, for example, a smart alert system that would give you all of the insights. So once you get the alerts, just to recap of where we are, is initially we spoke about how you need to do a data consolidation. 2, we spoke about the technology that allows you to just ask it a question and give you the answer. And then we said that even asking questions is very difficult. So you should just be notified about what's going on. And alerts aren't action. So how do you use AI to take it to the next level? So first of all, you need to be able to notify the right stakeholder, and then you should know which message to send, right? You need to be able to craft the right message. And AI could also help you with this component by doing a smart role based messaging. And why is this important? Because every time you try to implement an AI powered system in a university, in a country, in a school, the first thing you realize is that you do not have the right, maybe data sets, infrastructure, the digital transformation component is not there yet. So one of the first use cases of AI is how do you use AI to help you collect this infrastructure, right? And one of the use cases that we've implemented actually in Morocco was we use these messaging systems to notify the right stakeholders, right? So I'll give you a use case that we just implemented for college dropouts. There's a big problem in Morocco and even in the US of college dropouts. So the AI model automatically checks in who enrolled, who didn't enroll, it drafts a personalized message and automatically sends it to them. And then this scales not only to college dropouts, but also to attendance, to performance, to recommendations, to insights. And then you could quickly reach the right stakeholders, craft different messages to university professors, to rectors, to regional directors, etc. And this is how you could quickly start implementing these systems. So I'll skip to the next part. So I spoke about AI analytics. Now I'm going to talk about personalization. And one of the main reasons why personalization and adaptive learning often fails, because you could not have a one-size-fits-all system and just give it to students, right? It needs to be built and designed based off the curriculum. And over here, you see an example of a textbook that gets parsed where you use AI to build knowledge graphs, right? And these knowledge graphs, they have problems, they have examples, they have concepts, they have difficulty levels, they have Bloom's taxonomy levels, they have depth of knowledge levels, and they're really broken down by metadata tags. And this allows you to build this tree that gets used as a foundation to the personalized learning and adaptive learning systems, right? So this is an example of taking a book, and you see how the book, once you do OCR on it, it's capable of recognizing the tables, the images, the green boxes, the paragraphs, the theorems, etc., and then putting it automatically into that knowledge graph. This is an example of a performance chart that allows you to quickly see at a granular level where each student is struggling. So for example, this is AI generated students performance graph where you have red is 0, green is 1, and then you have the central node could be a chapter, the middle nodes are lessons, and then the outer nodes are learning goals. So just by looking at this, you automatically know where the student is struggling, and then the AI would automatically do its personalization, its adaptive learning components, right? So, and this is, again, very important because now once you're using these AI systems, not only for, a chat GPT that allows you to ask it a question, give you an answer, but it actually knows the structure of the book, it knows the standards, it knows the learning goals, it knows the homework, the problems, and it also is customized at the student level. So strategic priorities when implementing AI in education. The first one and the one we always talk about is the question of sovereignty, like allowing these countries, institutions to really host their own models, their own data sets, and then making them as secure as possible. The second one is scalability, because you could run a pilot, but if a pilot costs you, multiple dollars per month per user in GPU costs, then it's not scalable. It's not going to work. Finally, it's local capacity building and building something that is sustainable. So just to recap, this is the last slide. I spoke about multiple concepts. The first concept I spoke about is AI analytics and how you need to understand the full map of your talents, your curriculum, the performance of schools, universities in multiple levels to allow you to make informed decisions. I also spoke about the ability to not only get these insights, but to act on them through smart messaging systems using AI. And then I spoke about the ability to have an integrated chatbot that is connected to your databases, so you could ask it any question and it gives you an answer. And then I moved on and spoke about the personalization and the adaptive learning component, which is very critical for students and has to be done directly from the textbooks and customized for the language. And finally, I concluded with the strategic priorities of making sure that it is scalable, that it is sovereign, and that you could actually implement it at a cheap cost. Thank you so much.
Алғысымызды білдіреміз Юнус мырзаға. Сөз сөйлеу үшін енді ортамызға отандық сарапшы Назарбаев университетінен Хусейн Атақан Варол мырзаға беріледі.
We thank Professor Yunus for such an insightful speech, for sharing your experiences. Thank you so much. And we want to invite our next guest, Hussein Atakan Varol, Professor of AI at Nazarbayev University and Director of Institute of Smart Systems and Artificial Intelligence.
Thank you very much. Vice Rector Jilbayev, esteemed speakers, distinguished members of the audience. It is a privilege and honor to be a speaker here today. This event is superbly organized and it is bringing two national priorities together: artificial intelligence and inclusive education. And I am an AI scientist. I am not a pedagogical expert, but today I will be speaking about how we are localizing generative AI for the Kazakhstani context and what type of opportunities are there for education. Can we start my slides, please? All right. So I am from Nazarbayev University. I thank Zhanibekov University and Karek Institute for this event and for being here as a presenter. So where I am coming from Nazarbayev University. Our university does not have the history of Zhanibekov University. We are not 1 century old yet. We are only 15 years old, but in this 15 years, we have done many things. We have around 8,000 students, MS, PhD, and Bachelor of Science programs. Our university is a founding member of the Asian Universities Alliance, and this year, for the first time, we entered to top 500 universities in the Times Higher Education World University Rankings. We are the #1 university according to these rankings in Central Asia and Caucasus, and #4 in the former Soviet Union. And in this institute, we are always making long-term plans. We just have seen the importance of artificial intelligence in 2017 and made plans to create an artificial intelligence research institute. And in 2019, we have created this Institute of Smart Systems and Artificial Intelligence. In 2024, with the instruction of President Kasım-Jomart Tokayev, it was transformed into an autonomous research institute under Nazarbayev University. Today, our institute has over 70 employees. These include data scientists, computer engineers, administrative personnel, linguists, data creators, and others. And they are all local young researchers. And we are supporting reproducible AI research. That is why we are maintaining the largest open source repository of models, codes, and pre-trained data sets in Central Asia. You can go to Hugging Face and GitHub and get these open source resources. If you want to create a speech recognition engine, we have Kazakh Speech Corpus 2, meticulously created over 1,500 hours of data. If you want to do translation, we have Kazakh Parallel Corpus with over 1 million parallel translated sentences across Kazakh, Russian, English, Turkish, and Chinese, and many 75 other datasets. How do we see ISAI as a vital part of Kazakhstani AI ecosystem? Basically, in AI right now, you have three levels. The first level is the hardware level. This is what made NVIDIA a very valuable company. And we are also in Kazakhstan creating our own inference servers. This way, we can run AI models at low cost. On top of that, we are working on foundational AI models. We are creating models, generative AI models, for audio, text, vision, video, and also structured data. And on top of that, very recently, for the last 6 months or so, we have started creating products and services. This way, we are collecting feedback from the community and also helping companies, universities, research institutes to create AI-based solutions for Kazakhstan. On top of that, we are also working on the human capital development. We are delivering courses on AI. We are creating research experiences and others. Now, we are fundamentally a research institute. Our institute has published in the last 5 years over 120 publications with a field-weighted citation impact of 1.88. So we do not want to publish for the sake of publishing. We want to publish impactful papers. And so far, we were able to do this in prominent journals, conferences, and book series. And our research encompasses natural language processing, biometrics, robotics and automation, wearable AI, and AI for sustainability. And we are complying with ethical principles of AI, and we are in general doing AI for good and AI for Kazakhstan. So one of the things which I would like to mention, and I would like to see more students from Zhanibekov University, is our summer research program. We have some of the best data scientists in Kazakhstan. And every summer, we are creating a 2-month research experience where students from local universities such as Eurasian National, Süleyman Demirel University, Astana IT, Korkut Ata University come together with the universities coming from the international students such as New Uzbekistan University, KAIST in Korea, Yale, Princeton, Yonsei University, and many others. And they do AI research together because we believe in experiential learning and we are believing in learning by doing. And through this, we are creating networks of Kazakhstani students, international students, Kazakhstani students studying in international universities, and Nazarbayev University students and researchers. And so far, we are very proud of this program. Now, in Kazakhstan, there is a huge emphasis on AI. Is this a hype which will be over after a few years? Or is this something real that will change our lives in the future? And I am just closer to the second camp. We have today a new great game. This new great game is the globally deployed artificial general intelligence. First, focus on this term. What is artificial general intelligence? It is creating economically viable AI agents that can do tasks at the same level or better than human beings across a very wide range of tasks. And once we reach AGI and the timelines differ, then the whole world will be significantly changed. And who will win this AI race? AI race will be won by the countries who are prepared and who start this race early. Who are the leaders of this race right now? It is 2 AI superpowers, United States and China, as the AI expert Kai Fu Lee writes. And this game is at 3 levels. The first level is the transformers. So basically, who will create the best AI model that will be used by higher number of citizens of the world? So we have DeepSeek, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Alibaba Qwen, and there is a huge race going on there. The second level is what makes NVIDIA the most valuable company with respect to market capitalization in the world. it is the compute. Because in order to run AI, you need to have supercomputing clusters. That is why Kazakh Telecom and our Ministry of AI have separately established 2 supercomputers in Kazakhstan. And third one, little bit negative ecologically, but is also a race for electrical power generation, because these mega data centers sometimes consume in excess of gigawatts of power. More electricity than the whole Shymkent consumes is consumed in order to run Google Gemini and other AI models. And in order to satisfy this need, the countries are creating huge solar power plants. They are starting the construction of new nuclear power plants, etc. as well. Now, ChatGPT is great. Why do we need to localize AI? In this case, we just need to look at the general purpose versus localized context utility gap. When you look to the left side of this graph, you are seeing how well the closed AI frontier progresses for English and North American context, or for Chinese and China. Every 6 months, a new version of these models are introduced, and very closely, some companies release open source models that you can use such that the closed source companies do not dominate the market. For instance, Facebook, Meta is releasing open source models. Alibaba is releasing open source models such that the few American companies do not dominate this market. An open source model today are nearly as good as the closed source models. But when we look to the right side of this figure, we are seeing the localized context generative AI utility. Both open source and closed source models are performing much works in Kazakh language and for the Kazakhstani context, or in Thai language and in Thailand. Why? Because this is a zero-sum game. For that model to be the best model, it must do well in English language for the International Mathematics Olympiads. And since it's a zero-sum game, they are telling, okay, we will just not focus so much on the smaller market model performance, and we will boost our performance for the primary markets. So they just work worse for lower resource languages. They are not nuanced and tailored for local cultures. And these models, in most of the times, if you don't know how to fine-tune them, how to create them, you cannot customize for your specific tests. And there is also a great issue with digital sovereignty. For instance, if you are using Google Gemini or OpenAI ChatGPT, whatever data you are entering there is actually going to servers in another country and is stored there for mining forever. So what does my institute do? My institute does the localized AI frontier for Kazakhstan. What is our objective? We want to first create very good AI models for the localized context. We want our models to work better than the global models for the Kazakh language and Kazakhstani context. But we also want to perform still well for English language and also Russian language, because these are important languages for Kazakhstan. So how can we do this? It is a zero-sum game. So we do this because I do not care about whether my model works very well for Sanskrit or Obuda language or Spanish language that much. I am focusing on the Kazakh, English, and Russian. And this way, I can boost the performance of the global open source models by fine-tuning them for the Kazakhstani context. And this is what we have done. We have started with the ISAI Kazakh large language model. With this model, last December, Kazakhstan has become one of the first countries in the world which has created a high-performing large language model in the world. We, of course, have stood on the shoulders of giants. We just took Meta's open source Llama architecture. Then we have created a data set of 150 billion tokens. We translated English high-quality data to Kazakh. We have optical character recognized all the books in the national libraries. We have collected all the documents in the internet in Kazakh language and have checked whether they are high quality or not. And if they are high quality, we have integrated into our training data set. We have used very strong open source models in order to get raw text data and create question and answer pairs. And this way, we have created a data set on the order of around 1.5 million books. And this model performed very well in Russian, English, and Kazakh languages, and it has been praised by some of the AI leaders, for instance, the Turing awardee Jan LeCun already, and many people use this model too. However, Kazarilan was not the end for us, it was a beginning. We have worked for 5 years in order to learn how to do deep learning, how to use AI supercomputers, how to train the local intellectual workforce to do advanced AI research, and we have created the largest data repositories of Kazakhstan. And when the Kazarilan project was assigned to us, we were ready. For that project, we had to learn how to use AI supercomputers consisting of many nodes. We had to learn how to create synthetic data. We had to learn how to create very large-scale data sets which would not fit into a single computer. And after that, we did not stop. We started creating more models such that Kazakh language and Kazakhstani context comes to the state of the art. We have created Oylan, one of the first language audio vision models with the 2.5th version. It can do web search, it can do deep thinking, and it can also output in Latin Kazakh. We have created Beynele, similar to Grok Nano Banana. It is an image editing and image generation model. We have created our translation model that can translate both speech and text. We are calling it Mengisöz. It was just first for Kazakh, English, Russian, and Turkish. We added Chinese, and very soon we will add Arabic language to this. And on top of that, we have also introduced Tilsync, a real-time subtitling service, which is designed to run on our Mengitas 01 and Mengitas 02 inference servers, which we are building using commercial off-the-shelf components. So what can Oylan do? Oylan can just work in a multilingual domain. For instance, when you show that picture to DeepSeek or ChatGPT, it just tells that bunch of guys are running with horses and they are presumably playing some type of game. But our Oylan 2 can answer in Kazakh, Russian, or English that this is Kökbar game. It's a traditional Kazakh national sport on horse ridership. They are just carrying a goat carcass to another place. And the second one, we just created this text-to-image generation engine. And when you write in Kazakh language, Desturlu ortada nemeremerimen oturgan atamen ajenin sureti, like an image of grandparents with children in a traditional setting, it just creates that image. But when you write that in Kazakh or English to international ones, it just starts showing you a Western American or European family sitting in a nice environment with their grandchildren. So basically, for the model to understand the Kazakhstani context, we had to train our own model. And at that instant, we came to the point that we were creating models, Kazalelem and Oylan, and these are engines. And many people who were coming to our institute, they were asking, how can we use these models? Please tell us. And then we realized that in order to show the utility of these models, we need to make the cars. So the model enters to the car, and then you can start using it. So we started creating our own products and services. This is our QR code for the ISAI platform. You can just register to it. You can get 250,000 free tokens, and you can check how each of these products works. Some of them will work perfectly for your use cases. Some of them will not work well. If they don't work well, please tell us. We just also have the buttons for providing feedback. It did not work well for me. Can you please just solve this problem in the future? And our data scientists and data creators will add that type of data to the model such that it will start becoming better. You might be just sometimes thinking, why do some of the big tech companies let us use their services for free? Because they want to get the use cases. We also want the same. We want you to use our models and provide us feedback. Now, here, I am showing you how Oylan has been solving some of the mathematics questions. You are uploading some type of geometric question and asking it to solve it in Kazakh language, and it just provides you a solution. So basically, Oylan knows mathematics quite well. You can even just give it Schrödinger's equation for a point quantum dot, and it will just kind of like analytically solve it for you. So this is a great achievement. But teaching is more than knowing. So we just have created a model that knows and that can solve, but as of now, it cannot create structured learning experiences. So this we can do with the pedagogical experts together. Another example, you just provide the question, you just kind of have the text of the question inside the image as well. You provide it and it just provides the solution. Another example, you just give a quite advanced pre-algebra question and it just solves this question without any difficulty. And lately, this is just from the first year university curriculum. It just provides some type of bounded integral. And afterwards, it just kind of tells what is the solution, A, B, C, D, E. It just solves this question and provides the answer. So as you can see, we have made these models capable of solving high school and university level advanced mathematics and other fields, physics, chemistry, etc., in Kazakh language. Now, is generative AI great? Yes, it is great, but it is also an incomplete technology. It can solve the most advanced integrals without breaking a sweat, but sometimes you might ask it a question such as 9.11 and 9.9, which one is bigger, and it can make a mistake. So this is basically a technology that can solve great problems, but it can also make very simple mistakes. You cannot yet blindly trust to this. Secondly, AI is algorithmically biased. It is predominantly favoring cultures on which data it has been trained. So therefore, it has stereotypes, it just have gender, race, and culture-based biases. On top of that, there is a big language and culture divide. State-of-the-art models are optimized for English and the Western cultural context. That is why we need to localize these. And moreover, right now, I want to just touch a little bit upon some of my observations with our students. Our human brain, in general, learns from prediction errors. We just solve a question, we make mistakes, then we just are trying to correct our behavior, and that way we are learning. However, now when I walk the corridors of Nazarbayev University, I see lots of young people, like these young ladies who are looking to TikTok right now in the first row over there. Hello. Who are using ChatGPT or Gemini or DeepSeek in order to solve their homeworks, writing essays and other things. And if a person uses calculator for making 5 times 3, that person will not internalize that knowledge. And now we are making some verbal exams at Nazarbayev University. The students who are doing great in written exams or in homeworks are doing poorly. So basically, AI is preventing the internalization of knowledge. And this is a problem called cognitive offloading and illusion of knowledge. And if we start using generative AI blindly in our educational processes, we will have lots of people who think that they know, but they will actually not know. And how should we educate our students in a future with artificial general intelligence? To say the truth, I do not know the answer. I have some ideas, but I am an AI scientist. Certainly, in order to find those answers, we just need an interdisciplinary approach. We just need AI scientists coming together with pedagogy experts and subject experts and deliberating on how we can create strong learning experiences for the specific cultures in order to create good learning with artificial general intelligence. And even though I create these models, I like their capabilities. I would like to also point out that artificial general intelligence should not be a replacement, but an augmentation of human intelligence and human cognitive skills. And whatever we do, we should just do the training in our society, improve the AI literacy such that our society uses AI that way. In general, AI, we should just work with the pedagogical experts to create scaffolded practice, not just answers by this AI. We just made AI right now solve questions very nicely in Kazakh language, but we have not yet created the learning experiences. For that, I am making an open call to the experts here to work with us to create those. And we should also foster AI literacy and AI metacognition. The students should know how to use AI. They should know when to use AI, and they should also use when not to use AI as well. And this way they can just become productive individuals in the age of AGI. With this, I would like to finish my talk. We are ISAI. We are at Nazarbayev University in the capital, just 1 hour flight from here. We are working for AI for Good and AI for Kazakhstan. And if you would come to us to conduct any project that will benefit the citizens of Kazakhstan, the next generation, and in general humanity, we will do our best to collaborate with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Atakan Varol, for such an informative presentation, for such an insightful speech. Thank you so much. Мен қысқаша бір айтып кете салайын, профессор Атакан Баролдың қозғаған тақырыптарын. Жалпы бұл кісілер қазір қаз LLM-ді жасақтап қойған. Кез келген генеративті жасанды интеллект, оның артында үлкен тілдік модельдер тұрады. Үлкен тілдік модельдердің барлығының негізгі отыратын іргетасы бұл ағылшын тілі. Әлемде бүкіл үлкен тілдік модельдер ағылшын тілінде жасақталған. Бірақ бұл кісілердің командасы қазір үлкен тілдік модельдерді қазақ тілінде жасақтап, сол қазақ тілінде ақпаратты танитын, суретті таниды, жазуды таниды, есеп салса есепті шығарып береді. Бірақ бұл кісілердің айтып отқан әңгімесі біз жасанды интеллект салатын мамандарымыз дейді. Енді бізге педагогтармен және сол пәннің мамандарымен бірігу керек дейді. Сол үйренушілерге өте тиімді және нәтижелі бір үйрену тәжірибесін жете алу үшін бізге осындай мамандардың коллаборациясы қажет дейді. Біз енді жақсы білетін, танитын бір ақпарат құралын әсіресе осы Қазақстанның контекстіне бейімделген, осы Қазақстанның контекстіне адаптацияланған жақсы бір тілдік модель жасадық дейді. Енді әрине ары қарай оны дамыту үшін бізге коллаборация қажет. Және бұл кісі әрқашанда бұлардың командасы коллаборацияға, әртүрлі жобаларға ашық екендігін білдіріп жатыр. Егер қандай да бір жобаларыңыз болып жатса, ұсынатын болып жатсаңыздар, біздерге жазыңыздар дейді, келіңіздер дейді. Бұл тек қана жеке мүдде үшін емес, бұл осы елде, аймақтық деңгейде, осы ел деңгейінде жасанды интеллектті елдің игілігіне пайдалануға бір ыңғайлы бір деңгейге жеткізу дейді. Көп рахмет. So please join to warmly welcome our next speaker, Professor Anna Skledar from Croatia. Келесі қонағымыз Хорватиядан келіп жатыр. Professor Anna Skledar.
Hello, thank you for inviting me. I'm really grateful to have this opportunity. First of all, to visit Kazakhstan again, and then to contribute to this conference, which will hopefully end up in some recommendations for the policymakers of Kazakhstan. I come from Croatia, from the Institute for the Development of Education, and I'm not an expert in AI, but I am an expert in equity and inclusion in higher education, and I will try to point out where I see the possible cross-section between equity and inclusion as principle in higher education with AI. But first of all, let me tell you where I come from and why I am here. So I work for the Institute for the Development of Education. We are a think tank. We are based in Croatia, but our work is actually Europe-wide. We focus on higher education policy, and the topics that our focus areas include equity and inclusion in higher education in the context of European higher education area, and specifically the social dimension of higher education. Then community engagement in higher education. We have established the European platform for community engagement, and also quality assurance in higher education, where we try to connect quality assurance with engagement with society. We are open to collaboration, and after the session, I would love to discuss possible new opportunities with you. I'm a senior expert for higher education policy. I've been with the Institute since 2019, but before that, I worked for a long time, for over 20 years, at a university in several roles, management roles included, as dean, vice dean, and so on. But primarily, when I talk about myself, I say that I'm a teacher, because that's basically what I am. Before I move to the cross-section between AI and equity and inclusion, I would just like to talk about some terms that I will be using just to make sure that we're on the same page. So first of all, I would like to talk about why equity and inclusion are important. Well, they are important because of several reasons. The broad societal benefits of higher education refer to both individuals fulfilling their potential, but also the society as a whole that fulfills its needs through successful education that provides each individual with the opportunity to reach their full potential. There is, however, inequality in education, primarily in participation. And at a global level, this has been recognized as an issue where we see that consistently certain groups have lower participation level in higher education. And there are also additional emerging factors, either global, like the pandemic that we experienced, or local, depending on the local context, that contribute to the lower level of equity and inclusion in higher education. It has been recognized on the global level, so it has been on the global policy agenda. Many institutions that are global have recognized it, like the UNESCO, like the OECD, the World Bank, and so on. But it has also been one of the three main objectives of the European higher education area for 2030, the objective being to build an inclusive European higher education area. And when I say European higher education area, it actually encompasses 47 countries, and Kazakhstan has been a full member for 10 years. So it is basically wider than Europe itself, or just the European Union. Within the IHEA, there is a process that's called the Bologna process. It is an intergovernmental cooperation of the 47 member countries, and it guides public authorities that are in charge of education on how to implement certain policies. So within the Bologna process structure, there are several working groups, and one of these groups was called a working group on social dimension. So my institute has been part of this group for 8 years, so until 2024. And during this time, we have contributed to developing a European policy on equity and inclusion. But there are certain terms, there are certain key concepts that are mentioned quite a lot. Let's just make sure that we understand what they are, because there is diversity, there is equity, but then there is equality, there is inclusion, and then there is the social dimension. So let's try to demystify those terms. Let's try to unpack them. So allow me to go through them. So diversity is a fact. Diversity among learners is a characteristic of the student body. It is shared by all educational systems everywhere because there are variations in all populations, such as race, ethnicity, age, gender, sexual orientation, language, culture, religion, mental, physical ability, socioeconomic status, class, immigration status, and so on. What is relevant for the local context is the actual mix, which one of these things will influence your student body. And they should not be viewed as challenges, although they often are, but they should be viewed as opportunities to enrich learning and to foster innovation that benefits all learners. Then we have equity. Equity is a principle. Diversity reflects the reality. The student body is diverse. Equity is a principle of social justice that is based on fairness. It means that we should treat all learners as equally important, not equal, but equally important, while recognizing that some of the learners, some students are faced with some greater challenges due to some factors that are individual and that are outside of their control. So if it is if it is race, if it is ethnicity, if it is physical disability, or any other kind of characteristic that influences the ability of the student to participate fully, it is outside of their control, which means that policy should compensate for this inequality. And equality of treatment is not the same as equity. While equity implies uniformity, equality implies uniformity, so equality of opportunities for everyone. Equity actually means creating fair opportunities tailored to individual needs. And then we have inclusion. Inclusion is a process. While equity is a principle, inclusion is a process through which equity is implemented and realized. It is about removing barriers. It is about making sure that all students have access, that they participate, and that they complete higher education based on their abilities, which are different and regardless of the factors that are beyond their control. So to be able to achieve this, there should be measures, policy measures in place on the system level, but also on the individual higher education institution level. And an inclusive higher education system does not only advance equity, but actually make sure that diversity is reflected as a desired outcome. So if we use a visual to help us understand, diversity means that we're all different, which is a good thing. Equality of opportunity is just the first step. But that, as you can see in the picture, it doesn't really help everyone because not everybody starts from the same position. Some start with an advantage, some start with a disadvantage. Equity is actually providing the ones that need more support with more support, while inclusion is in fact removing barrier. And when, to go back to the Bologna process and the term used in the Bologna process, the social dimension of higher education includes all of these principles, all of these facts and processes. And there is a definition. This is the new definition, although it's from 5 years ago, but it was adopted at the Rome Ministerial Conference in 2020. And I will read it. It is process aimed at creating an inclusive environment in higher education in which the composition of the student body entering, participating in, and completing higher education at all levels corresponds to the heterogeneous social profile of society at large in the HEA country. So basically, the student body should reflect the general population. So higher education should foster diversity, equity, and should be responsive to the needs of the local community, because in each country, or if you will, in each region, or for each individual university, the mix is different, so it is not uniform. There are 3 dimensions of equity and inclusion, or actually 3 key points, or if you will, 3 neurological spots where equity and inclusion come to the test. It is access, actually providing access, removing barriers to access to higher education, well-being, ensuring that everybody entering higher education has an optimal experience while studying, which includes all the support necessary, and then achievement. This means reducing the differences in educational achievement by preventing dropout and securing completion by providing or putting into place some measures that will provide support to students who need support. And there is another term, students with fewer opportunities, that encompasses underrepresented students, disadvantaged students, and vulnerable students. So this is a long definition. I'm sure that after this conference, you will be getting the material, so I will not go into all the definitions, but I will just go through this briefly. Underrepresented students are groups of students whose share among students is lower than the share of comparable group in the total population. Disadvantaged students face specific challenges compared to their peers because of their disability or low income, lack of family support, their status, health issues, and so on. Vulnerable students are those who are not only at the risk of disadvantage, but also need additional support. Mostly this is connected to health issues or to a disability. And they're more exposed to risks that threaten their well-being during their stay in higher education. So students with fewer opportunities are, this is a general term that we use to address all those three groups of students that I mentioned. So some students can be in all the three groups. Some students can be just in one group. So it's not necessarily exclusive. So you can have a disadvantage and be underrepresented and be vulnerable, or you can just be vulnerable. So it depends on the specific situation. But it is important that the authorities and also the higher education institutions are aware of this. Okay, so all these terms are important because in the European higher education area countries, there is a framework, a policy framework for the social dimension. It was adopted in 2024 at the ministerial conference in Tirana. It consists of 10 principles for the social dimension. And when I say the social dimension, I mean equity and inclusion. There are indicators and there are descriptors, and there is a system of monitoring how these principles are implemented on the European level and on the national level. So basically, the 10 principles are recommendations that are intended for the authorities to implement the policies that will secure a high level of equity and inclusion in the higher education system. But since the topic of this conference is AI, or how AI can underpin equity and inclusion in higher education, what I've done is actually run a test. There are 10 principles. So what I first did was see what the literature has to say, which of the principles could benefit the most from using AI tools. And I also used AI to give me some suggestions. So I asked ChatGPT. So there are 10 principles, and I will just single out those ones that should really be the first ones to use AI. AI tools to support equity and inclusion can be grouped into 3 groups. Those that are student centers that help the student enhance their learning experience. Teacher-led tools, those that assist the teacher. And institutional tools, those that are implemented at the institutional level to improve the operational efficiency or focus on access. And I will just go briefly through the principles, and I will stop where there are some opportunities of implementing AI that I see are urgent. So the first one is a principle on strategic approach to the social dimension, which says that the social dimension should be embedded into higher education strategies at system and institutional levels, as well as the HEA and EU levels. So AI can be useful here. It would be nice to have, but this is not a pressing issue. Principle 2 is on the flexibility of higher education systems. That means that legal and administrative frameworks should allow flexibility in the design, organization, and delivery of study programs to reflect the diversity of students' needs. Also, this would be nice to have, but it is not an urgent issue. But if we come to principle 3 on the inclusiveness of the entire education system, and the principle says a coherent approach the social dimension should be ensured throughout the education system, from early childhood education and care through schooling to higher education and throughout lifelong learning. This basically requires cooperation between higher education and other relevant, well, actually other levels of education. And we have done a research project in Croatia 3 years ago, and we saw that in Croatia, this is missing. There is no communication between levels of education, and those transitions are actually this is where the students are the most vulnerable. And if there are inequalities in higher education that didn't begin in higher education, they began in early childhood education and care. And if you address those inequalities and implement measures, then there might be fewer inequalities in the higher levels of education. So AI systems that can be helpful are the ones that can integrate data across the system, across all levels. So I'm talking about system levels, and some predictive models that can forecast which learner groups need support before reaching higher education. So this is basically aimed at finding the red flags in the lower levels of education. Principle 4 is on monitoring and data collection, and this is actually connected to the previous one. Public authorities should ensure that higher education system establishes clear objectives for the collection and use of data relating to the social dimension. In line with national legal frameworks, they should support the development of adequate capacities to collect, process, and analyze the data, needed to monitor progress and support an evidence-based approach to developing equity and inclusion policies. So in this principle, we can see that AI can be used for processing and analyzing the big amount of data that is being collected about students, that learner profiles can be created and tracked, and that it can be used to predict which students might be at risk early before actually a problem happens, and to provide timely support and introduce timely policy measures at institutional level. Principle 5 is a principle on counseling and guidance, where public authorities should support higher education institutions in providing effective counseling and guidance services for prospective and enrolled students. These services are essential to broadening access, supporting participation, and improving completion rates. This actually refers to the well-being, the well-being dimension of the social dimension. So AI can be used as in a form of a chatbot that provides guidance, either academic or psychological, to create suggestions and actually to provide support, like mentor-like support to the student. Principle 6 is on funding. Nice to have to objectivize the allocation of scholarships and grants and so on. Not likely to happen. Principle 7 is on inclusive institutional culture, which is basically focused on the professional development of teachers. AI could be used here for that, but also for adapting teaching materials to the specific needs of individual students. So if we gather all the data about the students and we know which students are at risk, and we know that some of them need adapted materials, this is where AI can help and actually help teachers adapt the materials for the students who have very specific needs because of their disability or learning disability or any other reason why they might need an individualized approach. Principle 8 is on international mobility. Principle 9 is on community engagement. And principle 10 is on policy dialogues. These 3 principles could also benefit from using some AI tools. But as I have just said, I think that principles 3, 4, and 5 are the ones that could use AI support immediately. And we can say that at the system level, it refers to the data. It refers to the individual level data by creating individual learner learning analytics for individual students. and then to provide support, which is student-centered and which is individualized. Also, teacher-led, student-centered tools for adapting teaching materials is something that we need now. So I would like to stop here and thank you. These are my contacts. I'm open for questions and for chat during our lunch break. Feel free to send me an email if you're interested in our work or if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Anna, for such a brilliant address. Thank you so much. Professor Anна жалпы осы инклюзив саладағы түрлі саясатты, түрлі құжаттарды және осы инклюзияның артындағы белгілі бір философиялық түсініктерді, ұғымдарды талқылап кетті. Көп алғыс білдіреміз. I think the discussion is making sense because if we consider today's discussion as a structure, the structure have its bricks. So every speech, I think, found its place in this discussion. Like we have localized AI system. We need scale and capture not just diversity in physical impairment, but also diversity in learning styles. And also inclusivity is not about maybe we need to consider multiple the restrictions of some learners, like when discussed, Nurzada discussed about her topic. So thank you so much for this discussion. So our next speaker, let me invite our next speaker. Our next speaker is from Britain, Sussex University, Professor Simon Thompson. Келесі біздің спикеріміз Британиядан, Сассекс университетінен профессор Саймон Томпсонды ортаға шақырамыз.
Thank you very much. It's a real privilege to be here. It's the kind of thing you say when you come to an event like this. You have to say it's a privilege because you've been invited. It genuinely is a privilege. But I would also say that the privilege has been for me to be invited and to sit at the front here today and learn from these experts. They've given such good insights and I've learned so much this morning. I didn't realize I was coming here today to learn so much. So I'm really, really grateful. Have you got a copy of my slides?
Slide қосып бересіздер ма?
I can present from.
You have shared your slide? Professor Simon, have you shared your slide?
I have shared.
Okay, so we'll.
Yes, thank you. Anyway, before while I wait, I want to give some background because it's not on my slides. I am the Deputy Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Sussex, and one of my jobs is to have the opportunity to visit partner universities. And I'm just so lucky that I'm here today. But before then, before I was in this role, many years ago, my first job was a history teacher. And I was a teacher in schools for 15 years. And worked with 11 to 16-year-olds teaching history. And I love that job. And I know that this is a pedagogic university and has a real focus on teaching and learning. And then I became a teacher educator. And my job was to train teachers for the future. And that's what I've spent the last 20 years doing, is working with beginning teachers and established teachers to think about their practice. And I suppose that's what I hope I would be bringing into today's presentation, is to get us thinking about, well, what does that mean for teacher educators? What do we have to do when we're working with the students of tomorrow that we were shared with, who will never know an age before generative AI? They will not know that. So how do we prepare teachers to work with that new generation? So in the absence of any slides, here we are, perfect, just well timed. I'm going to think about what is the professional knowledge and pedagogies that are needed by the future teachers and the teacher educators. What do we need? So what's the context? Where are we working? I will skip over much of this because it's been so well explained to us already. But what I want to point out is that there is also a moral panic and anxiety about the use of artificial intelligence, but I would say that there's always been a moral panic about the use of new technologies. You've got two images there, one from the 1950s, an American cartoon book, which shows the man with the electronic brain. And then we have one of our tabloids from the UK just a year ago that talks about attack of the psycho chatbots. There's a fear about the use of artificial intelligence. And there's always been a concern about how we use new technologies. So we have seen technological change again and again. We've had the car, then we have the automated car, we have the supermarket, which used to involve someone serving you. Now we have automated in those ways. And we become so used to those ways of working. Some of the research that I was first involved when I became a teacher educator is a project that happened in the UK back in the year 2000. And the job of the research, it was a conference like this, was to predict what would education look like in the year 2020. So in 20 years' time, what would education look like? And I had the fortune to go back and look at some of those, that journal again. It's the Journal of Education of Teachers. And they were predicting some of the things that they would talk about. This was before we had smartphones, and it was talking about having a portable digital helper that you would carry around with you and how it would be used for all sorts of technologies. But it also predicted this need to think about, would we be brainwashed? Would we be told what to think? And started getting us thinking about the importance of the teacher in that space. Now, just in the space of 18 months, we have seen in the UK very significant changes in the way in which artificial intelligence is being used. From when I started, I would write out by hand my lesson plan to now going on to a generative AI system, and that can plan my lesson for me. To a traditional way in which I would stand in the room with 30 individuals, to a way in which a teacher or artificial intelligence interacting with the teacher can work with students individually. And for me, the hardest part of my work as a teacher, the one I used to not look forward to, was marking work, was marking and giving feedback. Well, we also have different uses now, which allows the teacher to get rid of some of that routinized ways of working. So there's quite significant changes. Some of the colleagues that I work with in teaching and teacher education have been caught out by artificial intelligence. They weren't anticipating that things would change so quickly. And so some of their reactions, which is a normal reaction to change, is to say, well, I'm not going to do it. We are not going to do AI in my school or in my university class. But we're living in a post-digital age in which we don't have that choice to say, no, we won't do this. No, we can't do that. It's part of our everyday lives. We have a situation where this is now the reality for our teachers. There's some research from the UK, which was done with school children, looking at how children in England were using AI and how much they were using it. So 8 out of 10 young people last year were saying that they were using it for their homework, and they were using it in a way in order to make sense of some of the things that the teachers were saying, but sometimes they were getting the generative AI to complete the homework for them. That was making the homework easier. Ironically, some of the teachers were using AI in order to mark some of that work. So you had pupils who weren't necessarily doing the homework, and you had teachers who were not marking the work. So nobody was involved in the learning process at all. And these case studies allowed us to kind of rethink that approach. One of the most concerning elements of that survey was the response of the young people to say that they were not always clear when they were given misinformation. And for me as a teacher and teacher educator, that is the biggest concern that I have about its use. Is how are we able to use it in a critical way? This is some of the data. So we did some research with our students at the University of Sussex. And one of the biggest things they were doing was to kind of try and make sense of concepts that they didn't understand, foundational concepts to kind of begin working with. Or they would say, well, I'm not using it. So some of our students were saying they weren't using that process. At the university, we've been talking about whose platforms do you use, which form of generative AI do you use. At my university, we want to protect that data and we want to keep it within the ecosystem of the university. So we advise our students to only use the university approved AI, which is Copilot. That's what our university wants them to use. But most of our students and most of our faculty are not using that. They're using ChatGPT. So we might want people to behave in a certain way, but in reality, when they have access to the tools, they will use the one that's most familiar to them. So what does that mean for us as teachers in terms of our professional knowledge? What is it that we know? So this is a very traditional model that I created to work with my teachers to think about all the different things that teachers were doing on a day-to-day basis. Their content knowledge, how well they know their learners, what they know about their schools, what they know about their pedagogy. In the middle, really important, their ability to reflect and change and shape that knowledge. On the corner there, you'll see something called ideological knowledge or ideological knowing. Now that, I think, is something that we haven't grasped today or thought about. But an important part of the teacher is not just about making sense of the content of the world. It is also relational. It is also an emotional experience in which the teacher has to work with the emotions of that young person and to support them through their personal, social, emotional development as well. And that part of the teacher's role will be a more challenging thing to think about how we might use AI. Yes, we can get it to signpost services, but that can't solve the immediate upset that a student might be feeling. You may be familiar with quite an old model, the TPACK model, which talks about how do we bring together the content knowledge, what the teacher knows, with how to teach their pedagogy, but with how to use the technology in an effective way. And we've been thinking about this for many years. Distance learning, virtual learning, flipped learning, these are all terms that we've been using in the educational space. Now we're thinking about how do we use that in terms of artificial intelligence. So we want to think about what might that mean for our pedagogy. My colleagues have done an amazing job this morning to talk about what are the opportunities and what are the challenges. So I'm not going to rehearse those, but there's great scholarship that pinpoints all of those different issues that we need to face. But I do want to go on to the challenges a bit more because I think they do need to be emphasized. I think that issue of critical thinking is absolutely key. Unless students have been equipped to develop their own critical thinking, then using it critically with AI is going to be a very difficult challenge, and that was really well emphasized. I also think it's really responsible for every educator to be identifying the sustainability of the technology. And I always say to my students, yes, you can use generative AI, but you also need to think about the ethics of using that energy source. That energy source is being used for that particular piece of work. Do you need to use that energy, that precious resource that we have? So thinking about the sustainability to me is really, really key. Before generative AI was part of the educational dimension that was happening in schools on a day-to-day basis, there was a commission taking place in Durham in the UK, the Durham Commission, which looked at creativity. And so before we were thinking about what are some of the challenges, it makes the point that actually knowledge transference is something that's quite easy to outsource. But thinking critically and creatively and adapting that knowledge, that's the real excitement of education. That's the way in which we can kind of think differently about how the world works, is thinking in that creative way. So remembering that that's a really important part of that process. So I'm going to leave you with 4 principles that I want to emphasize as teacher educators and teachers we need to remember when we're entering this space. And when I talk to my beginning teachers, I always talk about these things with them. 1, to remember that we need to remain relational in our own use and guidance around artificial intelligence. We need to be thinking about how can we shape their understanding? How can we make it accessible for them? How can we facilitate their understanding? But also, how can we make sure that we take on their concerns or anxieties as humans in the teaching space? I think we also have to be very clear, and again, it was really well illustrated today, what are our expectations? If we pretend that this doesn't exist, or we are not clear about what our expectations are, then we are not supporting our students. So can it be used? If it can be used, how can it be used? How do we want you to use it? We need to be clear with those. Again, we had a brilliant presentation on that today. Generative AI that we have at the moment is shaped in the image of two superpowers. It is not shaped in the image of the colleagues that we have here today. So we need to practice inclusivity in the way in which we use it, to recognize that not all students have the same access to these tools, and to think about what mediating we would need to do in that space. And as teachers and teacher educators, and as educators in any way, we need to remain reflective. We need to be critical of ourselves and think about how we are using it. We need to be ready to learn and constantly adopting, because we will need to keep up with that technology and the implications of that technology as we go through. I will leave it there. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Professor Simon, for your speech. That was excellent and insightful. Thank you so much. Профессор Саймонның айтқан тақырыбы жалпы бұл мұғалім ретінде инклюзияны қалай көретіндігін талқылады. Бұл кісі осы қазіргі істеп жатқан өзінің университетіне келгенге дейін 15 жыл мектепте тарихтан сабақ берген екен. Және сол мұғалімдік тұрғыдан қандай мәселелерді шығуы мүмкін, қандай мәселелер туындауы мүмкін деген тақырыптарды қозғап өтті. Көп алғыс білдіреміз. Құрметті әріптестер, құрметті қонақтар, жалпы бұл халықаралық және отандық сарапшылардың осы бір айтқан бөліскен тақырыптарына баяндамаларына үлкен алғыс білдіреміз. Және біз бұл конференцияның негізгі қатысушылары, негізгі спикерлері тек білім саласының мамандары емес, сондай-ақ жасанды интеллект саласының, сондай-ақ EdTech компанияларынан да келіп отқан EdTech компанияларында өкілдері бар. Осы өкілдердің барлығын бір ортаға келіп үлкен бір талқылау жүргізген кезде ғана бұл жасанды интеллект дәуіріндегі инклюзияның қырлары толық ашылады деген оймен келесі спикерімізді шақыруға рұқсат етсеңіздер, білім медиа групп компаниясының продакт менеджері Татьяна Сарсенова ханымға сөз береміз. Our next speaker is the product manager of Bilim Media Group, which is a national company, EdTech company.
Сәлеметсіздер ме, әріптестер. Здравствуйте, уважаемые коллеги. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarsenova Tatiana, as was presented by our organizer. Thank you very much. I'm here from Kazakhstan, from Astana. I'm the product manager of Bilim Ustaz. It's a part of Bilim Media Group company, which is a leader of digital education for more than 15 years. So today, I'd like to show you how a digital ecosystem helps provide equal and inclusive access to quality education for every teacher and every student across the whole country. We believe that technology can bring people together and make learning opportunities truly equal for all learners. Я здесь представляю большую цифровую компанию. Спасибо, что пригласили. Очень интересное мероприятие. И сегодня я вам расскажу, как цифровая система, такая большая система, которая охватывает все уровни образования, на самом деле может не только объединять людей, но и давать равные образовательные права для всех. Okay. In Kazakhstan, we still face serious differences in education quality. According to PISA 2022, students in rural schools score 18 to 26 points lower in mathematics and science literacy compared with urban schools. About 15% of teaching positions in rural areas remain vacant. And also 80% of the population has internet access, many schools still struggle with unstable connection and limited digital tools. Teachers spend up to 40% of their time on reports and administrative tasks instead of teaching. Around half have tried once or several times AI tools, but most use them rarely, not as part of daily work. Our mission is to make technology simple, useful, and available for every school, so that every child, regardless of region or learning needs, can receive equal opportunities to learn. В современном казахстанском образовании есть определенные проблемы, с которыми мы все сталкивались и знаем. Это и результаты по ПИЗе, отличающиеся результаты сельских школьников от городских от 18 до 26 баллов. Это и 15% недостаток квалификационных кадров для сельских школ. Это также и 80% населения имеет интернет, но в определенных местах он очень нестабильный. И, конечно же, имеется небольшой такой недостаток цифровых средств, да, оборудования. Ну и тоже учителя, мы делали опрос, используют искусственный интеллект, современные педагоги, да, но боятся использовать. Есть определенные нюансы по использованию. И наша большая миссия и цель, как мы считаем, это сделать не просто цифровое образование, но и образование, вообще и инструменты для учителей более простыми и удобными. To respond to these challenges, Bilim Group has created an unified digital ecosystem that connects all levels of education, from early childhood to teachers' development. Bilim Kids early Next slide, sorry. Bilim Kids, early childhood learning and development, online mixtape, digital lessons and classroom learning. Bilim Center, diagnostic and functional literacy training. Bilim Class, analytics and performance monitoring. Bilim Stars, professional development for teachers. And Kitab KZ, reading and language culture. Together, these platforms and some more reach over 3 million users every year. Students, teachers, and school leaders. На экране вы видите наши продукты, которые охватывают все уровни образования. От дошкольного образования Bilim Kids до культурного и языкового образования. Это первая созданная электронная библиотека Kitab KZ. Я думаю, вы знаете, это большая коллекция литературы на казахском, недавно на русском, английском языках. Online Mixtape is a digital school open to everyone. It offers 26,000 interactive lessons that fully follow the national curriculum in Kazakh, Russian, and English. Teachers and students can log in from any region at any time. It helps make learning equal and conscious, no matter where a child lives. For many students in remote or small schools, this platform means rich inclusion, a chance to learn on the same level as others. Мы считаем, что продукт онлайн-мектеп – это цифровая школа с 26 тысячами уроками, это возможность обучаться одинаково как в сельской местности, так и в городе. Это позволяет готовиться и есть такой Bilim-центр, продукт, который позволяет готовиться к оцениванию мировых и национальных стандартов. Ну и Bilim-класс – это целая система журнала. Bilim Ustaz, that's my product. I'm a product manager of this platform because at the heart of every change are teachers, we are. Bilim Ustaz supports educators in digital age, helping them build digital competencies and instructional design skills. Our courses are flexible, practice-oriented, and easy to apply in real classroom. We also teach educators to automate routine work using AI tools and ready-made templates, so they can focus more on creativity, empathy, and their students. Many of our programs also include inclusive teaching approaches, helping teachers work with diverse learners and support every child's potential. We are building a community of teachers who use technology confidently and responsibly. Блюмстас — это платформа повышения квалификации педагогов, начиная от начального образования, это дошкольного образования и среднего образования и ТИПО. Наши курсы, большей частью флагманский продукт, это цифровые технологии и использование инструментов искусственного интеллекта в своих работах. Учителя учатся использовать их для сокращения своих рутинных задач, то, что можно автоматизировать. Уже около 40 тысяч у нас в комьюнити, а те, которые заканчивают у нас, получают официальные инструменты. Kitab KZ, Reading and Language Culture. This platform includes 5,000 books and 1,000 audiobooks in in Kazakh, Russian, and English. There are interactive dictionaries, gamified challenges, and curated reading lists for different age groups. With more than 30,000 active users, it inspires both children and adults to read more and think deeper. Коллекция книг, обратите внимание, пожалуйста, очень много переведенных на казахский язык литературы. Я надеюсь, вы его уже слышали. Кто-нибудь использовал этот ресурс? Поднимите руку, пожалуйста. Kitab KZ. Нет. Спасибо большое. Да, спасибо. So, digital solutions also change the reality of rural education. In West Kazakhstan and Aktobe regions, we connected 140 small rural schools to online Mekteb through hub schools. Teachers from hubs deliver live online lessons to smaller classes nearby. More than 12,000 lessons have already been conducted this way. This model helps reduce the urban-rural gap and ensures that every child, even in the most remote village, has access to the same quality of learning as students in large cities. It's a real example of digital equality and inclusion in action. Это наш проект совместно с регионом Актобе и Западным Казахстаном по таким школам, малокомплектные школы, которые получают образование, возможность учеников получить уроки учителей городских школ. Это через платформу онлайн-мектеп. И многие ученики после этого эксперимента, здесь есть такая, ой, извините, что это такое, обратно я не могу листать? Да, они прошли опрос и сказали, что они более мотивированы обучаться на данный момент. Okay, and Blim Kids is early childhood development platform for not only teachers, but this platform supports inclusive early education, helping teachers design personalized support for every child. Эта платформа тоже дошкольного образования, где проходят определенную поддержку с документами не только педагоги дошкольного образования, воспитатели, но и специалисты специального образования, инклюзивного. Это дефектологи. Да. I'm going to conclusion of my speech because I would like to tell you that Bilim Group is technology for equal education. This is our position in the tech area. And today Bilim Group connects 600,000 teachers and 3 million learners across Kazakhstan. We've been building digital education for over 10 years. And our platforms are now used in 70% of all schools nationwide. Our vision is simple: to make sure that every child and every teacher has equal and inclusive access to quality education. Компания имеет определенную цель, чтобы каждый учитель, каждый ученик в любом регионе имел равные права на образование. Спасибо большое. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tatania, for your speech. So, in order to initiate a discussion, we need some philosophical stances of inclusive education, topics surrounding inclusive education. To address policy making, in order to implement policy more efficient, we need some infrastructure. We need technology. We need stakeholders from across different sectors. Thank you for sharing such a brilliant products. I know these products not as a listener of today's participant of today's conference, but also as a parent, because every parent know these products. And we have to use it with our kids in their schools. Thank you so much for sharing. Let me to invite our next speakers. So they are participating online. Our next speaker is Еңсебаев Нұрбек Әділбекұлы. He is an inventor. He's the CEO of CISO Scientific Research Institute, and he's a UN award winner. Okay, Mr. Nurbek, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you brilliantly. So you may start your presentation, your speech.
Okay, thank you very much for invitation. It's a pleasure to be with you. My name is Nurbek. I'm the founder of Tezuo company. We invent technologies for people with disabilities. I'm the graduate of Bolashak Scholarship. We create technologies that allow blind people, deaf people, people with locomotor disabilities, people with autism, children with autism, and with cerebral palsy to live a fulfilling life. So when I study abroad, I saw the problems among students who could not access the facilities. So could you please share the, okay, thank you. The first device that we decided to create was to help blind students to learn to read. And the device that you see, it's our company's name, Tezuo. This Sezu means to feel in Kazakh, Tezu, Sezip al. And al means take. Okay. So on your screen, there is an actual device that allows blind students to learn how to read. The first time that you push this button allows you to understand the actual letter. So it says A. The second time you push the same button allows you to understand the location of braille dots. For example, if you push the other one, V. Вторая, четвертая, пятая, шестая. Okay, I hope that you can hear this. What does it say? Because instead of 4 years with this device, students and children and elderly people who lose their vision because of diseases, because of their age, they learn reading in Braille in 6 languages for 1 month. Usually, for a child to learn, it takes 4 years with a teacher for visually impaired. And with this device, not only children who are totally blind, but also children who have, besides blindness, who have also other diseases like ZPR, ZRR, cerebral palsy, and autism, who have complex diseases, they also learned how to read with this device. So we provided this device We call it самоучитель Брайля, or we call it Braille tutoring device. In 6 areas in Kazakhstan, in 6 different regions. Also, we provided to New York Public Library. You can, if you go to New York, on the first floor, they have they have these devices in 6 languages, and when you go on the second floor by the elevator, it's especially created for the blind. They get up on the elevator and they can read the Braille books. So also we provided it in Washington and in Texas. And our company is opened not only in Kazakhstan, in Astana, but also we have a branch in Texas, in Austin. So we develop in different areas. And okay, yeah, please. The first our partner was Tengi Chevrolet, the second was Chevron, and now we work with the Science Foundation, Fond Nauki. The second device it looks the same actually, looks the same like this, but instead of alphabet, we programmed music in this device. So when a child learns solfeggio, when a child learns how to play and understand the musical tones, we put the same things, Braille dots, on the piano, on each button of the piano. And the child comes to the piano and starts playing. So the interesting thing about this technology is that in Aktau, where I live right now, in the Western Kazakhstan, there were not only children who are totally blind who learned to play music because of this device, but also there are children who have autism, and some autists, they don't talk, they avoid talking, and their mothers, they asked me to provide these devices because through this device a child learns music and expresses himself or herself. So I think it's very interesting because we didn't focus previously on autists, but from this year we are going to create more technologies for autists because we understood that some of our technologies they help not only totally blind children or elderly people, but also to autists and children with cerebral palsy. So yeah, please, third slide. Put on the first slide, please. Well, Cesar biolocator, it's a device that we started with my friend Galimjan. He's a scientist and inventor. He lost his vision for a couple of days because he went to sauna and got burned of his retina because he wanted to make heat bigger in sauna and put some more water on the stones. So it burned his retina and it detached. Because of that incident, we decided to create a technology that will allow totally blind people to walk around. Fortunately, Galimjan retina got attached again, thanks to the doctor. But anyway, there is such a problem that people are able to lose their vision accidentally because of some life circumstances. So this device, you put it on your neck, right here, and it emits impulses. The same impulses that are emitting by the bats or by the dolphins or by the killer whales or by the insects. A lot of night insects, they instead of light vision, they have sound vision because they use active sound biolocation. So this device, it allows totally blind people, like I showed you our emblem, our girl Jazira on our emblem. It's a girl who lost her vision in her childhood, and even her eyeballs were detached, and her nerve is dead, eye nerve. But she is able to ride a bicycle with this biolocator. And our team participated in the United Nations World Summit Awards in Chile in 2023. We brought all our technologies together and showed that if we integrate it in any city in the world, that city will be totally inclusive. I just started to show you some technologies, but we have over 300 inventions for disabled people. So if we do integrate them in some area, that area will be able to accept any type of disabled people. That's why we became laureates, we became winners in Chile. So this device allows blind people to see any object up to 15 meters. Of course, a blind person is not able to see the colors, but he doesn't need to. He just needs to see the objects and to feel free to just walk around, play sports, and do whatever he wants to do, or she. Okay, thank you. Please, yeah. We have also the exoskeleton. It's a technology that makes the 220 muscles of your upper body make you move. It's a technology that allows you to avoid problems with the for example, when a person gets blind because of some circumstances, he stops walking. That person is not participating in any activity. That's why his lower body, like legs, become weak. And when it's over 1 year, that person can't even move his legs if he always goes by the wheelchair. That's why this technology such people to walk. Right now, we are working to make it more sophisticated and try to make people run. On this picture, there is a girl. She is 23 year old, and she actually walks with this exoskeleton. Okay. So please, next slide. Fishtail actually is a technology that helps people to avoid scoliosis, osteochondrosis, spondyloarthrosis, and other things that happen to our spinal cord when we sit too much. Most of people, they work on the computer, they work in their offices, and they have problems either with their neck or with their middle spinal cord or with their lower spinal cord. So this tail, it is attached to your legs if you have problems with your lower spinal cord, and you move from side to side in the water. And whenever you move in the water, the necessary elements, first of all, your spinal cord is becoming longer. For example, my friend Galamjan, he is over 50 years old. And because of the training with this fishtail that is attached depending on which type of problem you have. If it's neck problem, then this tail is attached here on the back of your head, and you swim with a tail with this special spin, I can say. Or if it's a middle problem of your middle part of your spinal cord, then it's attached, the spin is attached to your middle part. So Galamjan, for example, he lost weight. He lost, I would like to say he lost age, because right now, during like half a year, he's training, he doesn't look like over 50 years. He looks like over 30 years, because his skin, his fat, his like, even his, he had this injury that we call it in Russian gryzha. He had that injury previously, but right now he doesn't have it. So this spinal cord allows you, if you do train, it requires training. If you do train, then it allows you to get rid of any problem that you have with your spinal cord. Okay. And I can add additionally that when a person goes to the market, when he buys fish, why we were inspired by fish? Because when a person goes to the market, he doesn't ask, is the fish old or young? He usually asks, is it fresh or not? Because fish doesn't die because of getting old. Usually fish dies because it's too big to feed itself. And that's why fish is always young. The meat of the fish is always young. So that's why we were inspired by this. Okay. And okay, that was the last one, right?
Рахмет, Бейбет мырза. Презентацияға рахмет, тәжірибелеріңізбен бөліскеніңізге, керемет өнімдерді бөлісіп жатсыздар. Бұл көптеген адамдарға көмек беріп, проблемаларын шешіп жатыр деген үміттеміз. Көп рахмет қатысқаныңызға, сөз бөліскеніңізге.
Thank you, appreciate.
So the last final speech of our today's conference, and let me invite the last speaker, Aygerim Barakova. She is a acting director at Documentolog. Барлығымыз білетін Documentolog деген компания бар. Осы елімізде қағаз жұмыстарына қатысты түрлі тиімді бір процесстерді жүргізіп жүрген. Сол компанияның өкілін келесі сөз сөйлеуге шақырамыз. Айгерім Баракова.
Қайырлы күн, құрметті әріптестер. Менің экраным көрініп тұр ма?
Я. Айгерім көрініп тұр.
Все, керемет, бастаймын онда презентациямды. Good afternoon, dear guest speakers and participants. Thank you for joining today's event. I'm truly delighted to be here to represent our company. So Documentolog, so next one. Documentolog is a fully homegrown Kazakhstan's digital platform that has been successfully operating in the market for over 18 years. Our mission is to automate document workflow and the business processes across organizations of all sizes and sectors. Today, over 1.2 million active users rely on our platform, including major financial institutions, educational organizations, and national corporations. Our core focus is to simplify operations, eliminate bureaucracy, and enable organizations to work smarter and faster. So on our platform, we have implemented more than 20 business processes tailored to the needs of both public and the private institutions. Let me briefly highlight a few of them. So first one is document workflow automation, allowing departments to send and receive official correspondence within 10 minutes. Documents can be exchanged both within Kazakhstan and internationally. Each document is legally valid, signed within Kazakhstan's national digital signature or Adobe Sign for international partners. Second one is financial document flow, enabling organizations to sign 3 or 4 party agreements, initiate related payment requests, and manage the entire contract lifestyle, all in a single secure environment. Third one is HR processes, one of our largest automation areas. We cover the entire employee journey from requirement and onboarding, business trips, adaptation, and offboarding. The system automatically generates orders, vacation schedules, and workflows. The last one is AI assistant. Our intelligent assistant helps users assign tasks, track them automatically, and receive real-time reminders and updates, enhancing daily productivity. So I also want to pay attention for the social impact of our company. Beyond business, we remain socially responsible. Documentolog supports educational, governmental, and sports institutions, providing access to our platform on preferential or free terms. We believe in fostering digital inclusion, helping organizations modernize their processes and improve service equality for both employees and citizens. So in conclusion, Documentolo continues to advance Kazakhstan's digital transformation journey, building trust, innovation, and efficiency into every process we deliver. Thank you for your attention, and it's been a pleasure speaking at today's conference. I wish everyone a productive session and a wonderful day. Thank you.
Әйгерім ханым, көп рахмет осындай бөліскеніңізге. Thank you so much. I want to immensely thank our guests, our distinguished speakers, for sharing their presentation, for sharing their experiences and knowledge. I hope that this created insightful ideas for our participants, for our listeners, and it will foster for further deep discussion and finally help to draft a implementable policy for our region. Thank you so much, dear delegates, esteemed speakers. So we will join for another discussion after the lunch at 3 p.m. Осымен біздің бүгінгі конференциямызды қорытындылаймыз. Құрметті тыңдаушылар, көп сіздерге сабыр еткендеріңізге алғыс білдіреміз. Көп рахмет. Пайдалы болды деген үміттеміз. Мың алғыс. Professor Thompson. Excellent call.
Yeah, Mr.
Take your time. Okay. So, please. Yeah, please. Okay, bring it.
И он